Through 9 rounds, the men of AMA Motocross have battled the heat at Freestone, the undulating hills of High Point, the whoops at Millville. They have flown over Larocco's Leap at Redbud and raced among the tall pines at Washougal. But now comes their toughest test. 2 motos and over 1 hour of racing on the sand at Southwick. Fuel TV proudly presents live coverage from round 10 of the Lucas Oil AMA Pro Motocross Championship. We're at the famous Moto X 338 in Southwick, Massachusetts for round 10 of the Lucas Oil AMA Pro Motocross Championship. The Rockstar Energy Drink, Southwick National. Well, we've had some weather in the forecast today. You may have heard about Hurricane Irene, which is ravaging its way up the East Coast. Well, that's where we are this weekend at Southwick, Massachusetts. And we hope we're able to get in all the racing today, rain or shine, or whatever else these riders have to deal with here in the Lucas Oil AMA Pro Motocross Championship. Hello, everyone. Jason Wygant and Jeff Emig, 4-time AMA National Champion, welcoming you to the show. Let's give you the big picture storylines we're following on Fuel TV. First, in the 450 class, Ryan Villopoto coming in with momentum. Finally got the 1-1 moto sweep at our last race in upstate New York, and has a series points lead as well. Justin Barcia could be a factor. The young kid jumped up to the 450 class and was 3rd overall in our last event, and he really likes riding in the sand here today. But a bigger shock than even Barcia getting in the mix, Mike Satile, a local from Marlborough, Massachusetts, basically complete unknown, was the fastest rider in practice because he has a lot of the local knowledge of this racetrack. So maybe a complete new face could be on the podium by the end of the day. Jeff, let's talk about Southwick. Michael Satile kind of joining a long list of local legends who have mixed it up with the top riders in this sport. It's a unique track. Talk a little bit about racing at Southwick.
Yeah, there definitely is something that the local guys bring, and they just have a feel for the track, where the bumps are, how the track is going to form up on each day. But earlier today in the first practice, it was smoother. He went out, notched a fast lap time, and it stood all the way through qualifying. But let's talk about the local guys. There's been guys like Henry and Dowd and JoJo Keller and all these riders come through. You know, Justin Barcia grew up not too far from here. I would actually consider him a local guy, so I look for Barcia now, his second ride on a 450, to really come out strong. Also, the title contenders, of course, these guys are battling for the championship, you know, for all of the hardware there. So I look for those guys to be up top, too. All
right, that's Villopoto, Dungey, Reed. We expect them to put on a great race today. For more, let's send it down to the 3rd member of our broadcast team, Aaron Bates.
That's right, you guys. The number 515 of Michael Satile ended up making his claim to fame here, qualifying that first. People didn't know who you were when you came in. You had set your name out there, but what is it like up against your local heroes? Do you consider yourself a threat today?
Well, I would like to, but I'm just going to try to keep the pressure out of my head and just try to stay calm, cool, and collected, and just try to have some fun out here. You know, it's cool being lined up. Best guys in the world right here. It's awesome. I'm loving it.
Well, congratulations. You managed to put down the fastest lap right before the storm. You can call it the perfect storm for Michael Satile. And Chad Reed is getting his gate all together. Chad, we've spoke a lot about it, but Millville, you put it behind you mentally, but apparently you put down the fastest lap times at your home practice track. How prepared are you for these final 3 rounds?
Nah, I think we're good. You know, I try to take a little time off and just clear the head. I think that crash affected me more than I thought and more than I really wanted it to. So it's time to get out there and just forget about it and race, and that's what makes me happy. You know, I'm not happy about being 3rd, 4th, 5th place guy. So I want to battle for the win, and if I could do that, I'll be happy.
Not only a physically demanding track, but a mentally demanding track as well. Mike Alessi is prepared and waiting. Mike, we've got 3 rounds left. You just finished your very final last weekend off. What is the strategy and how do you attack these final rounds?
Obviously getting good starts is going to help, being up front, staying out of trouble. Strategy for the last 3 races to be consistent, be up front. Like I said, getting good starts is going to be the best way to stay out of trouble. And to race with the best racers in the world, try and be top 3, be on a podium would be nice, consistently top 5. So be smart, finish out the season strong, and yeah, I just want to thank everybody again at KTM. Everybody's been doing a great job, and all my sponsors, Alpine Star, Aero Helmets, and Rockwell Watches. Just everybody for supporting me, all my family and friends, and thanks again. See ya.
Well, we did have the previous weekend off. Before that, we were racing at Unadilla in upstate New York, and a great race it was. Ryan Villopoto came in with a very narrow margin in the series standings, but he left with a bigger points lead because he swept the motos. Can he keep it up here today at Southwick? Find out next.
Every rider is measured by victory.
Ready to go racing in the notorious sands of Southwick, this Rockstar Energy Drink Southwick National. Here's the 411 breakdown on how motocross racing works. We'll have two classes today for 450 bikes and 250cc engines. Each will race two motos with 40 riders in each, and each race lasts 30 minutes and 2 laps on this rough racetrack. That is a long distance. And let's give you the track map, brought to you by Kawasaki and the 2012 KX450F, fully equipped and race ready. Jeff Emig, tell us about Southwick.
Well, this starting gate, if you're on the outside, which is to the rider's right, if you're 10 gates or so from the end, it funnels down so quickly. So getting a good start is important. You got to get the flow as this track starts to wind up and down. It's got a lot of G-outs. And also right now, the sand is actually fairly hard packed, so you have to stay in the berm. When you try to cut down is when it looks soft and sandy, but it's a little bit hard on the bottom. Track's really choppy and rough today as opposed to a deep sand whoop style track.
All right, well, we'll find out if you really know what you're talking about, because that's your thoughts. Here are the top riders' thoughts on Southwick.
The season's not over till it's over, and I say that Southwick, we've seen some DNFs there, and the sand really puts a heavy load on the motor, and it can really put a stress on it. So there's been, for some DNFs there. Last year we were able to wrap up a championship, which was really cool to celebrate, but really excited to go back there and to see it all and see what we can bring.
Southwick is a gnarly race. You go to the sandiest race of the season. Bumpy, it's going to be hot, it's going to be tough, and it's going to be grueling for 35 minutes. A lot of the riders are not going to like what they're going to see at the end of the race. It's going to be bumpy, it's going to be gnarly.
I love second moto when it gets nice and rough. Always something special for Southwick. I think a lot of locals come out, a lot of local pros just fly hole and butt there. So that's a good place where they can kind of get out there, get shown to the rest of the world, really. And obviously, the most physically demanding track, I think, on the circuit.
All right, it is the most physically demanding track. Let's give you our Fuel TV's one to watch. One of the locals, Robbie Marshall, and Jeff, he's very fast at this track, 7th fastest in practice today.
He's from Concord, Massachusetts. This guy has got some speed here in these tracks. It was just a couple of years ago when he ran up front in the 450 class. Let's see what he has here in 2011.
Yeah, he was in the main practice today and was 7th fastest overall. Gate is down here in the first moto. Villopoto had them into turn 1, but gets bumped wide, and is Ryan Dungey going to grab the lead, and his teammate Brett Metcalfe right behind him. So the Rockstar Makita Suzuki's looking good early.
And you see Mike Alessi, 800 on the KTM. He mentioned how important a good start would be. And also, the number 17, Justin Barcia, on that factory Honda running in 4th.
And then Villopoto and Reed. So all the favorites are up front early. Metcalfe in 2nd has great memories at this track, some of them, and then some nightmarish ones as well. Led this first moto last year all the way to the last lap until he ran out of gas. Here is Villopoto trying to make moves on Alessi to get to 3rd.
I think he's got, he got Barcia and Alessi by carrying some momentum around the outside.
Not wasting any time, so Villopoto on the number 2 up to the 3rd spot, and then a mistake by Alessi and Barcia sandblasts him to move up into 4th. We'll see if Reed can try to run with this pace that Villopoto and Barcia are putting 4th early.
Now, you remember, Jason, 1 week ago, it was Villopoto who was really aggressive off the start, got into the lead early. I'm talking him or Dungey or Reed, our 3 championship contenders. Today, you've seen Dungey respond. Obviously, he read the Frocast. He said it was going to be all about the starts here to get out front and try to ride his own race and try to do the same thing to Villopoto today that Villopoto did to him last week.
Well, the scenario is definitely set up that way with Dungey leading early and Villopoto going to have to do some chasing. And how about Barcia? He is using inside lines, outside lines. He wants to get Villopoto back.
Yeah, but he was unable to make that move.
Well, he might make it here. He's keeping the heat on the number 2. Obviously, Barcia is not intimidated by anyone in this 450 class.
See, they added this new jump here, and it's really narrow right there at the top.
That's classic Barcia style, throw the bike sideways. This kid is exciting to watch. He's going to work the inside on Villopoto.
See, and what this does, Jason, is Villopoto wants to ride his own race. Like, that's his objective. But having a wild card, the wild child, you've seen him executing that style right through there. If Barcia puts pressure on him and is constantly running it up the inside, not allowing Villopoto to ride any line that he wants on the track, well, now Villopoto has to think about what is behind him, not just what is in front of him, and that really is what happened last week in Unadilla, because Dungey, I mean, he had to just be fed up by the end of the day with Barcia, and he just couldn't focus on the lead. So,
Barcia, couple of moments here where he has almost tossed that thing away.
Yeah, and it's that type of track. Now, we've had a little bit of rain here today. Hurricane Irene is on the way later, and everything that's going to begin in this area with that sort of weather. But right now, the track it's actually still pretty loose on top. If we get some rain, this track the sand will get really wet, and it'll get very rutted. But right now, it's tough right there. You've seen Reed cut out of the berm and try to get to the inside, and riders are just not having a lot of success with that. You really do have to ride the outside lines and carry your momentum. Watch Barcia here around the outside. Nope.
Unbelievable. Barcia, everywhere Villopoto goes, Barcia manages to get next to him, and Villopoto's going fast. He's actually caught the 24 Metcalfe, and despite that speed, Barcia hanging. Whoa.
Yeah, see what these guys are doing, and we've even seen a couple of rocks in that newer section. In that situation, if Villopoto cuts out of the berm early and is kind of broad sliding the bike, exiting the turn, if the rear tire hits one of those, softball sized rocks, it can just skip out on him. So these riders are totally riding on the edge at this point with some serious intensity. Now we get a chance that they've come across the finish line. Dungey was at a 2-minute, 0.8 second, and Metcalfe, Villopoto were up in the 202, 201s.
And Villopoto going to work on Metcalfe now for second. They're going to go uphill. This is going to be the inside for Villopoto, and he makes the pass. Metcalfe tries to strike back, and he does. Side by side into one of these big pits, and Villopoto controlling the inside again.
And remember, Metcalfe is really fast at this track. He loves when the track is rough and physical. He feels that that's when he excels. Now watch him around the outside, carry some momentum. Now he's got the drive.
Here we go, wheel to wheel. Villopoto, Metcalfe, Barcia not too far back. Villopoto needs the nose to go to work.
Wow.
Because Dungey's getting away.
Look at
Finally
that.
Makes that pass stick, Jeff.
Look at that when they come off that little tabletop into the corner and they dive in with the front wheel trying to get on the brakes. And at this track, there are so many G-outs. Now when the bike and the suspension is completely bottoming out and the suspension is going to the bottom, the bike setup, the chassis setup, and the suspension setup here is much different than anywhere else because of those sections, okay? But you want to have the front end high and the rear end low for when you're coming into all these bumps right here, because I can tell you, when the seat starts to hit you in your behind, that's when the throttle goes off. So you set the bike up. If you could visualize much like a downhill mountain bicycle, right? How the attitude of that bike is versus like a cross-country bike that has to go, uphill and downhill and flat. So
I see. So these guys are trying to set the bike rear a little bit, and that's different than a normal motocross track, correct?
Yeah,
a little bit different here.
Yeah, definitely. And it looks like we've got a few spots on our camera lenses there.
Yeah, and I think we cleaned those things up, so I can only assume that means it is raining again here at Southwick. It's been on and off all morning. There is your leader, Dungey. There you see the gap back to Villopoto, Metcalfe, Barcia. Barcia just going to keep on fighting to try to take that third place spot away from Metcalfe, and Metcalfe not too far back from Villopoto.
Keeping an eye on those lap times, Dungey went up to a 2:02 and Villopoto a 2:01.7, so about a quarter of a second faster Villopoto was. Is that an Australian flag waving? They're a long ways from home.
They're happy. Brett Metcalfe, an Australian, is in third. But the bad news for the other Australian, Chad Reed, he is still in sixth, not able to execute a pass on Mike Alessi. We saw Reed was all over Alessi earlier. He's still behind him. So Metcalfe, well, not literally carrying the flag. Those fans are the ones that are literally carrying the Australian flag here, but he's doing a good job riding at least.
And do you see how many fans are here today with the weather
not bad
being the forecast for what it is? I mean, these are hardcore fans.
Oh, yeah.
They're all about it. This is the Wick, Southwick. That's not even the name of the track. It's MX338, but it's known in this area as Southwick.
Yeah, like Robbie Marshall from Concord, Mass. These guys are not afraid of a little bit of rain. I don't even know if the hurricane would have actually scared them either, but
I think they're so used to it, right?
Yeah. This is a great battle here, Barcia and Metcalfe. You got one of the true veterans of the game here in Metcalfe and Barcia, who is really only into his second full pro season. Aaron, what are you hearing on the number 17 of Barcia?
I asked Justin Barcia what he took away from his first experience in the 450 class at Unadilla, and he said, big guys don't like to be bullied. No, but he was joking around, but he was actually very serious. But he said he did learn some good lines and that he can't override the 450. He needs to stay smooth. But he said factory Honda hired him for a reason. They hired him to ride the bike like you know he can. And Justin Barcia is known as aggressive.
Yeah, and what he's alluding to there, what Aaron's saying, as he goes past Metcalfe, he was battling like this with Dungey at our last race at Unadilla, and Dungey wasn't too happy about it. Barcia takes over third from Metcalfe. And yeah, he is inserting himself into the championship picture by stealing points away from some of the top riders, by riding them aggressively. But he's a teenager. He doesn't care. He just wants to win the darn races no matter who it's against. He's up to third. Stay with us here on Fuel TV. We got some great racing going on here in the Lucas Oil AMA Pro Motocross Championship. Justin Brayton on the number 10 makes the move on the 108 of Jimmy Albertson. So the Muscle Milk Toyota Yamaha making the move on the Valley Motorsports Rockstar Yamaha. Brayton trying to head toward the front. That will move him up to 11th. They've got Kyle Regal on BTO Sports Suzuki right in front of them. And then behind them, there he is on the left side of the screen, the favorite of Southwick, John Dowd, 46 years old, and making it happen. He's well up inside the points here.
What? 46. Junkyard Dowd, Chicopee, Massachusetts, not far from here. He's got that local knowledge. He's won here on both size machines. He's won local races. He's won national races. I'm sure he's won here when it's been dry and when it's been wet. But
has he ever beaten Jeff Emig at this track?
Oh, yeah.
In, say, 1997.
Hand it to me. Yeah. I would give it my best run, I'm telling you. And I'm telling you, when we were racing and he'd be behind me, I'm inside, I'm going, oh, where's the checkered flag at? Let's end this thing already, because you knew that he was just going to be there all the way. It's awesome. I mean, the fans, they're local guys. You know, you got when you've got Dowd, Satili, Marshall, actually, who are all three running 13th, 14th, and 15th at the moment. The fans, every time they come around to those sections, the fans go nuts.
Yeah, that is impressive to have three of these locals here challenging for a top 10. So what's it like to run around here in the sand like this? Well, we got a chance to talk to some of the experts on it, including,
coming here to Southwick, I think the biggest thing that comes into play is fitness. You know, when you come here, obviously, the long motos and rougher track than normal, and it's, it can be hard to get a flow, but then once you get that flow, the track will really start coming to you, and that's the biggest thing I've been working on, is just really getting out front. The start's going to be huge, and sprinting the first few laps, getting that flow, and then bring it home, and my fitness is really good, so looking forward to it.
Yeah, game plan before, you got to prepare before the race for sure. You know, I was at home riding a lot of sand, so that prepared me a lot, and also this is one of my favorite tracks, so I just kind of hang it out, lean off the back, and use the power to your advantage here in the sand.
We're from New England. That's what we grew up in, is sand and the dirt moves, and we struggle a little bit when we leave here with the ruts. But I guess we just know how the sand's going to move and how it's going to work, and it's like Carmichael used to say, you can feel it and know when the dirt's going to move, and kind of the same concept.
A couple of the simple things is just keeping your weight a little further back on the bike than normal, and keeping your momentum. Sticking berms or stopping and going, it doesn't work too well here in sand because you don't have all that traction. So, just momentum kind of everywhere.
The big thing for me was to go down to Florida and get some practice in the sand, the week before, and, just try and ride it in as much as I could. I mean, now I obviously live down there, and I've been there for a year, so I get to ride in the sand a lot now, so I think that, you know, that's going to help for sure, because the sand's a lot about the technique and stuff. So I think, you know, you need to, get as much time in the sand as possible before the race.
And there is one of the riders we were talking to there. That's the 81 of Robbie Marshall, who is our Fuel TV one to watch. He is in 14th place right now, and that's pretty solid. A lot of these guys, you see the number 81, he earned most of those points to get that national number at this race.
Yeah, no doubt. I mean, Marshall and those guys talked about having flow and momentum, not stopping and burying the front wheel in the berm and all that. And I think that that's so important. And to me, I think your technique and all that, I don't think you have to be in that good a shape if you ride this track, with the perfect technique. It's when you ride it wrong that it becomes really physically demanding, and you get even more tired, and it takes more strength. So you do it right, you don't have to be the strongest guy out there.
All right, folks, don't miss the premiere of the Moto Inside the Outdoors. They're bumping it up this year. It's going to start just near the conclusion of our series. That's September 10th, right after our final live from Pala. So take an inside look at the real story behind the ride, behind the racers. Saturday, September 10th, 6 p.m. Eastern and 3 Pacific, only on Fuel TV. That's a great show that's been on Fuel TV the last couple of years. That's basically a behind-the-scenes look at the riders and teams in this series. So we're excited about the Moto. Wait a minute, we got, that's the 5:15 of Michael Satile, who we mentioned was her fastest qualifier today, was inside that top 15, but is going to drop out of it now after a crash. So bad luck for the man from Marlborough, Massachusetts. As we see Brayton and the 108 of Albertson continue to battle just outside the top 10. Dowd right with him, Marshall as well. We've lost Satile from that group. Got Kyle Chisholm on the number 11, will be next in line in 15th. Good to see Chisholm back in action after a long layoff with some big injuries, broken ribs, lung contusion, and other problems. So good to see Chisholm back in action and riding inside the points. Man, I'll tell you what, Albertson is not letting the 10 of Brayton go. He's going to follow him all the way around, and Jeff talked about that. When you're getting roosted this long, what's that like to eat that much sand from the number 10's back tire?
Look on Jimmy Albertson's helmet. Did you see that fluttering? That's the tear-offs. He just reached up and took it off. So distracting, but on a day like today, the riders are going to start with tear-offs over roll-offs, go through your tear-offs, and then get to that roll where you've got, 50 to 100 pulls. And he's been pressuring Brayton so much that, I mean, he's going to use up all of that in a 35-minute moto like this.
And meanwhile, Dungey up front, just want to mention, he's extended it to 8.8 seconds over Villopoto. So we'll stay with this battle right now. Brayton and Albertson both going for top 10s. You got Dowd not too far behind them as well.
Yeah, which is interesting because Dungey, his last lap around was a 2:02.4. This group here with Brayton and Albertson, these guys are running between 2:09 and 2:12. Dungey, as the track has gotten rougher, he's stayed at the same pace.
Albertson making moves here on Brayton and almost made it happen. Still cannot make the pass. And that's interesting about this track, Jeff. You'll see a rider side by side, and you think they've got the pass made, but then it comes back around, and Brayton's able to hold him off again. Here comes Dowd right behind him.
Yeah, Albertson's going to have to get on it, and he's going to have to get up off that seat, try to carry some momentum, because the 46-year-old here, John Dowd, he is definitely on the move, and he knows how to ride these rails and keep his momentum up.
What Dowd is shooting for, by the way, to hold on to that national number 16 that he has had. He's had a national number since the late 1980s. To hold on to that, he needs to score 25 points this year. He's scored 3 so far this year. So he basically needs 2 10th-place finishes in today's motos.
Of course, John Dowd, you've seen there, backed by Chaplin Kawasaki, a great Kawasaki dealer up in this area, has been so involved in motocross and supporting all of their local guys like Dowd here. So but it'd be great for them to have a rider inside of the top 10. And Dowd needs a couple more positions as he's in 13 at the moment.
Well, he's going for it right now. And Albertson, he is putting more pressure on Jimmy than Jimmy is able to put on Brayton. Here we go, into the pits. And Dowd still not able to find the line, but he is all over the 108. Going to try the outside, switch to the inside. Can Dowd hold it in the next corner? Albertson has the inside. And they're headed toward what we call the Buckley Berm out here at Southwick, named after the famous photographer Paul Buckley, who lives in this neck of the woods, has shot all the greats through that left-handed berm turn they just left. Here we go again. Dowd still not able to make the pass, but he's definitely trying.
Well, and you can see just how rough this track has gotten and how choppy it is. And you can see in a lot of these turns, there's an inside and an outside line for him. Look at the top of your screen right now. If you choose, you can go way up high or cut down. See, we had 3 or 4 lines there.
And Dowd's trying every one of them, but not able to execute it. Similar situation that Albertson was in when he was trying to get around Brayton. And we'll keep an eye on that as Dungey continues to try to get away from Villopoto and Barcia, Metcalfe, Reed in the top 5. And we'll see. Fitness, we know, is going to be a big issue on this rough racetrack. We'll see you can hold on. And this is really cool. This track actually part of the American Legion. Good scenery here. Ryan Dungey leading the way here on the Lucas Oil AMA Pro Motocross Championship Tour in the sand of Southwick. And this sand is kind of notorious for doing a number on the motorcycles. And that is exactly what has happened to one of our front runners here. There is Justin Barcia. And something has happened to his machine. He was running in 3rd. He will not finish in 3rd in this moto. That is a bummer.
Yeah, I'd see the chain is still on. Doesn't look like anything's happened with the wheels or anything like that. But we do know that this racetrack in these type of conditions puts a tremendous load on the engine and the transmission, clutch, all of those parts. But no problems here for the reigning champion, Ryan Dungey.
And what's happened with the weather? We don't know Barcia's bike situation yet, but Aaron, what's happening with the weather down there?
Well, guys, it's been drizzling on and off all day long, and it's difficult to judge what's going to take place next, but it's really started to come down now, and it's left the mechanics in sort of a predicament throughout the day of how do you prepare for this bike, especially when the conditions start mid-moto. So everyone has had everything prepared in the truck, but Jeff, maybe you could elaborate on what they need to do and how they prepare once this moto has started and when the rain does start.
Well, yeah, I mean, you know, obviously now that the race has started, there's nothing that they can do. But they certainly, there will be a team of experts in between motos that will work on the bike, and they do a lot of stuff like put foam like under the gear shifters and the rear brake lever, things like that to keep rocks and sand from getting stuck up in there to you know, keep those things from working. Possibly put on like hand guards, mud guards, things like that. Now if the rain and the water gets really bad and it was a real wet race, they'll do things to cover up the air box to keep water from coming in, into the engine, things like that.
Big talk, big sports, big tunes. Daily Habits, the wildest late night party on television. Weeknights at 11 Eastern and Pacific. Only on Fuel TV. Jeff Emig, huge fan, because you've been involved personally.
Yeah, I just drive up there, the studio, and yeah, it's
watch
awesome.
some music,
huh?
Go listen to some music, watch some bands.
Yeah,
you just go out there to hang out.
Love hanging out with Pat and the whole group, and they have the in-studio audience.
Wait a minute, Chad Reed has now come to a stop on the track. And you see steam coming out of the bottom of the engine there. What do you think? What could happen there?
I'm thinking that this is there's a bit of a correlation. We've got 2 Hondas that have gone out. Bike basically, is a factory-built Honda. So it's really hard, and I don't want to speculate on what has happened, but there definitely is a correlation between those 2 bikes being built in the same spot. Whoa.
Well, I'll tell you what it correlates to. Remember the top of our show? We talked to some of our riders about what they thought of racing in Southwick, and the very first rider we talked to was Ryan Dungey, and the very first thing he said, there have been a lot of DNFs, did not finishes at these races where you score 0 points. Dungey has been the benefactor of that in the championship runs in the past. He may benefit from it again today. Barcia and Reed are not out. We presume of mechanical difficulties. And Dungey's going to try to run away with a moto win at Southwick and close up some points on Ryan Villopoto.
When I heard the bike.
Welcome back, Lucas Oil AMA Pro Motocross Championship on one of the roughest racetracks of the year in some rough weather. We got some great racing going on. Rider to watch, 361. that is Colton Fasciotti. He is upside in the top 5. He is your 2-time and defending Canadian National Motocross Champion. So good to see Colton Fasciotti down here.
Unbelievable. Up to the top 5 right now. He has rode up into that position.
Yeah, continues to climb forward. Has taken advantage of some heartbreak for Justin Barcia and Chad Reed, who both are out of this moto with, we presume, bike problems.
And I tell you what, Weimer has moved himself up to 6th. Les Smith on that Muscle Milk Toyota Yamaha is up to 7th. He's rode up to those positions. Brayton Albertson's down. Marshall, a couple of local guys there flirting with the top 10.
Yeah, and Dowd, again, he finished 10th in both motos to score enough points to keep his national career number 16. And right now he is in that spot. He's actually just gotten around Albertson, move up to 9th. As Dungey's lead over Villopoto, it got a little crazy for a moment. Dungey had a bad lap, and the gap went from 8 seconds down to about 5. But Dungey has now matched Villopoto's lap time, and it is staying at about 5 seconds. But for a moment, it looked like Villopoto's making a run.
Yeah, and it's last time around, they just hit the finish line. Dungey was a 2:04.1 and Villopoto a 2:03.1. So now the lead for Dungey cut down to 4.6 seconds. At one point, it was twice that.
Yeah, so you saw, as we were going to break, the Suzuki guys like, oh, wait a minute, we've got Aaron has got Chad Reed. Aaron, what have you got?
That's right, you guys. Chad is taking off his helmet right now. Chad, you just sort of whisked away the tears in your eyes. Take us through the emotion that's taking place right now.
You know, making mistakes on yourself and riding bad is one thing you can handle, but bike breaking is just, it's one of those things, man. It's that love-hate relationship you have with motorsports, and it's a bummer. You know, like, you have high hopes coming into here to try to turn it around, and I was having a pretty average moto anyway, but the whole moto I was having an issue, and I saw Justin, but I didn't know his bike stopped. I just thought he crashed, and then you know, the next lap mine stopped as well. So disappointing to know that it's all over now, and to come so far and so close, but yeah, so far away from it. It's that one stings a little bit.
When it rains, it pours. A definite tough day for Chad Reed.
All right, Jeff, take us through that situation, man. You know what it's like to be in the championship hunt.
Yeah, I mean, and this, you know, you're always looking at the next week to turn things around and to make it happen and to do something special. And when this happens, I mean, he was already 25 points down. But it's interesting, when you talk about 450 class here, the brand with the most wins in the history of this racetrack in this class is Team Honda with 14. The next most is 7 with Team Suzuki. All of that was really down or back in the 80s or early 90s, and here lately they've had a really tough time getting any wins at this track.
And there you see Reed walking away. Just a heartbreak for him, because again, he goes from 25 points back to nearly 50 by the time this moto is over. So championship-wise, it's going to be almost impossible for him to get back into it.
Yeah, but when you talk about heartbreak right here, Brett Metcalfe, 1 year ago, he's a quarter lap away from winning his first professional moto.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was pretty heartbreaking, and had a bike, I believe it ran out of gas.
He ran out of gas.
Right, yeah.
And another Honda, Andrew Short, at the same time had pretty much the exact same thing happen in a different part of the track. So you're right, it's been rough the last couple of years. Meanwhile, we may have a race for the lead after all. Villopoto just keeps going faster and faster. It's not a mistake from Dungey. This time around, it is Villopoto stepping up the pace.
He definitely has. Last lap around, he was a 2:02 flat. Dungey was a 2:04.4. That's 2.5 seconds in one lap that he's made up. And now, once you can see the guy, that's when the magnetism starts, and you just get zoned in on that, and you put that extra effort. But the track is rougher. It should be slower now. Dungey 2:04, Villopoto 2:02. The next fastest is a 2:10 with Colton Fasciotti, who's back in 5th.
And we might want to throw this out there as Villopoto closes in. Maybe Dungey's bike is having some mechanical troubles. We've seen so many bike problems at this track the last couple of years, especially late in these races. But so far, so good. He's able to at least hold Villopoto at bay.
And you see what Villopoto, he has the flow. For him to turn a 2:02.
I got to mention, they are lapping Dowd, who was in 9th place. They are lapping up into the top 10. That's how fast they are going. Dungey, we thought, was able to match Villopoto's charge, and Villopoto just found a way to go even faster than that. Here we go with the last few turns. You can hear the crowd.
Just a couple turns to go here, and both riders put in unbelievable rides, but it may be too little too late as Dungey heads towards the finish.
All right, we are headed into that final stretch. You're right. It looks like Dungey's going to be able to hang on and take the win here at Southwick. But Ryan Villopoto serving notice late in the motos. He is strong now. Last couple of races, you go back to Millville in Minnesota, Washougal in Washington. Dungey was the man that was running Villopoto down late. This time around in the latter stages, Villopoto is the one that had the speed. So Villopoto will have some confidence heading into Moto 2, but Dungey has the victory.
And what was the points lead coming in here?
It was only 7 points.
And now what is it then?
It's only 4. So Dungey nearly cut it in half.
Yes.
Chad Reed lost a bunch of points in this one, but Dungey gained some. This championship is far from over. We'll talk to our top riders when we return here on Fuel TV. At our last race at Unadilla, and that was get out front early. He had to start, and that made a big difference, Jeff.
Certainly did. He had a clean track, was able to ride his race, and it was Villopoto that this time had to make his way up through the traffic, and this battle here between Metcalfe and Barcia was really intense for the beginning part of the race.
And then Barcia was able to get to third. Then problems all over the track. Mike Satile, who was our fastest rider in practice, he crashed. Had a tough time just making his way back into the top 20. Then Barcia, who was in third, has bike problems. He is out. And maybe the biggest change up of all, Chad Reed, who was leading your series standings only a few weeks ago, his bike breaks, and that will put Reed out of this race and presumably out of championship contention, although stranger things have happened. Late in the game, Dungey out front. Villopoto closes the gap, but is not able to make a pass, and Dungey holds on to take the first moto victory and shave 3 points off of the 7-point lead, or 7-point lead that Villopoto had coming into this one. Let's send it down to Aaron with our winner. Aaron?
Ryan Dungey had said to me this afternoon that this track is probably known as the toughest track. Not only is it mentally challenging, but physically, does this track boil down to survival of the fittest?
Definitely. You know, it's a track, as the day goes on, it just gets rougher and rougher, and it builds up, and a lot of guys out there. But got up to a good start. Rockstar Makita, the bike was running awesome, and just can't thank all the guys enough. I think that it's fun, you know, with the rain made it a little bit good, and really enjoying it, so look forward to the second moto.
Villopoto started to make a little bit of ground on you with just a few laps to go. Did you have any problems or complications with your bike?
No, I felt like I could reply to the attack, you know, but I kind of got caught up in a few guys out there, but it's racing, lappers, we all deal with it, and it's what it is, but definitely going to have to make some good lines this next one and put down some good laps, you know, a lot of tough competition. Good start's going to be key, and see what we can do.
Ryan Dungey only at a 4-point deficit after Moto 1.
And we apologize for some of the transmission problems we're having here, obviously with Hurricane Irene starting to make her presence known. It's had some interference with our TV equipment. Jeff?
Yeah, what a sharp contrast that interview was from just one moto ago at Unadilla.
Oh, yeah.
He was so frustrated and mad and just unhappy day. Now one moto puts him right back in the place where he wants to be. One win, I should say.
Should be a great showdown later in the day between Villopoto and Dungey for the overall. Stay with us. We'll be right back to talk to Villopoto.
Every rider is measured.
Welcome back to the Lucas Oil AMA Pro Motocross Championship live coverage here on Fuel TV. The Rockstar Energy Drink National here at Southwick. We've seen some pretty wild weather so far, and we think we might be in store for even worse later on today. Let's give you the results from our first moto just completed in our 450 class. Dungey holds off Villopoto. That's the big headline. And you're going to see a bunch of favorites further back in the standings because they had bike problems. And as we go through the screen here, a couple other riders to check out. John Dowd doing his best, trying to stay in the top 10, gets it done. Robbie Marshall, who was our one to watch, did a great job. The local boy finishes in the top 5, so well done for him. And also you got to watch for Colton Fasciati, who did a great job, the Canadian as well, in the number 361. Here's 21 through 30. Pick some of your favorites out of there. And you've also got to watch out of the points. Guys like Reed, guys like Barcia, who were there, and Jimmy Albertson, who was running up in the top 10 earlier in this one, ends up 27th. Kyle Regal, who was running in the top 10 earlier, finishes 37th. You got as many big names at the back of the field as at the front.
Yeah, but probably the biggest is that 34th there by Chad Reed, the Australian on the Honda, having a bike problem. He admitted he wasn't having a great moto, But this really seals the deal that he's going to be that far back in points that it might be.
Well, let's send it down to Aaron with our runner-up.
When Ryan Villopoto entered Southwick, he was at a 7-point lead, now at a 4-point lead with only 5 motos remaining. How intense is the pressure starting to be, Ryan?
Yeah, there's a lot of racing left. A lot of time for some mistakes, so just got to get out there, be consistent, get good starts. You know, I felt like I was riding pretty good there. Ryan got out early on in the moto, and you know, I just late towards the end of the moto, my charge, it was too late. So caught up to him pretty good towards the end. I feel like I rode strong, you know, so that's a plus, and we'll just come back out the second moto and see what we can do.
Congratulations on a solid Moto 1.
All right, folks, coming up September 6th, the world television premiere of Strangers in Danger. Best friends and pro BMXers Mike Rooftop Escamilla and Zach Catfish Yankush are lightly packed and heavily insured. They're on a mission to take on some of the most extreme, bizarre, and dangerous experiences around the globe. Should be pretty fun. So check out Strangers in Danger starting Tuesday, September 6th, 10:30 Eastern and Pacific.
Was that body armor that those guys had on?
Probably going to need it.
Oh, I'm going to watch this for sure.
Let's send it back down to the podium with Aaron.
It's a love-hate relationship here at Southwick for Brett Metcalfe. But, Brett, this is one of your favorite tracks, but you've run into some really tough luck. What does it mean to you to be back up on the podium for after Moto 1, and what is expected and in store for Moto 2?
Well, it's nice to be back up on the podium. Whenever you're up here, it feels good, especially at this place. But, you know, just got to thank the Rockstar Makita Suzuki team, Dunlop Parts Unlimited, Thor. But it just wasn't my moto. I really wasn't that comfortable out there, and the whole day I haven't been feeling it. So, you know, we're going to go back, make some changes, try and be better for Moto 2. I was a little disappointed with that ride. So, we'll be back.
All right, you know Metcalfe's going to keep giving you everything he has. We'll see what he has in Moto number 2. And we come back as we celebrate 40 years of American motocross. We'll flash back to one of the most memorable moments in the history of this series, the day the Bubba Scrub was invented. It's changed the way everyone rides their motorcycles today.
When James Stewart burst onto the American motocross scene as the first African-American title contender, it was obvious that things were about to change. But who knew that he had a trick up his sleeve, a radical new style of jumping that would transform the sport? Bubba debuted the new technique at the 2003 Budds Creek National in Maryland. With a track running clockwise, the circuit ran backwards up Henry Hill. Riding with abandon, Stewart found a way to hit one of the braking bumps that led to the pinnacle of the massive jump. He then used it to lift his bike up over the crest by laying the bike flat so the wheels missed the pinnacle altogether, saving time by getting the power to the ground much quicker than everyone else. Bewildered reporters on site quickly found a title for the new move, the Bubba Scrub, but they could have called it the Fosbury Flop of motocross. Within just a couple of seasons, Stewart's remarkable move had become commonplace among his competition. Nowadays, the Bubba Scrub, first uncorked at Budds Creek in 2003, is part of every fast motocross rider's racing strategy.
We're setting the stage here for our 250 class, which has a moto coming up next. Dean Wilson swept both motos at Unadilla 2 weeks ago. That was our last race. But he has admitted before that sand is not the type of surface he grew up riding. So maybe someone's ready to try to knock Wilson back a peg today. We'll find out next on Fuel TV. Well, we witnessed a great race the last time the 250 riders showed up for the Lucas Oil AMA Pro Motocross Championship. It was 2 weeks ago at Unadilla in upstate New York. And the star of the show at the end of the day, the number 15 of Dean Wilson, who won both motos going away. A couple other riders built some momentum with some great rides. A couple other riders lost momentum and points. So right now this series could potentially be Dean Wilson's to grab by the throat. But we have switched conditions. We are in the sand today instead of the rocky soil at Unadilla, and we've got a lot of rain coming down. So many stories to follow. Let's give you the big picture stories. First, it is, of course, Dean Wilson coming in with momentum. His first overall win of the year. He had been very consistent up until that point, so he already had the points lead, but now that lead is a lot bigger. We'll see if he can extend that lead today. And a new kid on the block, Justin Bogle, a bright spot for Honda in his very first pro race. He finished 5th overall at Unadilla. Got to figure if he learns something there, he might be able to go even better today. So we'll be watching for the 891, young kid out of Oklahoma. And more bright spots for the Geico Honda team. Eli Tomac was the fastest rider in qualifying today. So that team, which has been much maligned throughout the summer, may be about to rally late in the game. Heck, all these teams are hoping to at least get one victory from the Monster Energy Pro Circuit Kawasaki team, which has won every race so far this year. Here are your track facts here at MX338 at Southwick. The big thing you need to know, though, is that this is a sand track, and that makes a huge difference. It's not just the layout, but it's the soil conditions. And we'll give you the track map, brought to you by Kawasaki and a 2012 KX450F. Fully equipped and race ready. Jeff, take us around.
I'd like to be riding my KX450F right now, I'm telling you, but the track is rough. It is nasty. I've noticed a little bit of rocks coming up in certain sections, but as we learned from Moto 1 of the 450 is that there's some really good lines right now. If you ride those wide rails and carry your momentum, everyone in that first moto was trying to cut out of the berm early. That was not working. But with more rain on the way, it's going to get a little more hard-packed, a little more rutted, and it's going to get rough. And I'm telling you, this track, it is tough. It's tough on the on the rider, and it's extremely tough on the machine, as we've seen in the 450 moto.
Well, yeah, we saw some of the top riders, Justin Barcia, Chad Reed, not able to finish because their bikes couldn't make it through the finish of the race. We'll see how the 250 riders plan on faring. Let's talk to them.
I'm not much of a sand rider. I actually never even ridden in sand, so going there wasn't that great for me. It's something I need to work on for this year, but I really want to go there this year and do well because I didn't do that last year. I mean, I got 5th overall, but it wasn't nothing to be impressed with. But the track was so rough and gnarly. It was just gnarly, gnarly period.
It's a wild track. One lap you'll be, the main line will be on the inside. And the next lap, that berm's completely gone and out of the track. So you definitely have to be. You have to have a creative mind for that track because, lines are changing every lap.
I really enjoy racing Southwick. It's definitely a man's track. It gets really rough and gets pretty brutal, especially when it rains. But yeah, other than that, I really enjoy it. It reminds me a lot of when I was riding back in Belgium in the sand. So I always look forward to going to Southwick.
And let's give you our Fuel TV 1 to watch. Another one of the Geico Honda boys. This is Jimmy Dakotas, who's a local, so he knows this track well, Jeff.
Peabody, Mass. Yeah, it's we've seen the locals have really good rides here, and we know that Jimmy Dakotas here on that Geico Honda can get some good starts, and if he gets up front and can run his pace, he could definitely put the bike inside the top 5, but top 10, somewhere around in there.
Unadilla, their last race was actually Dakotas' first motocross race of the year. He had a elbow injury that knocked him out for the majority of this tour. So good to see the 66 back. They've got Bogle on the 891, the new kid on the block, like we said. Tomac fastest to qualifying. Let's see if they can win for the first time this year. And it is a bunch of red fenders leading them around. And I thought it was going to be Bogle. No,
looks like a blue one.
Out. Yeah, one of the Yamaha riders able to get out in front of them. Might have been Garrett Swanepoel,
who I believe had a whole shot last week at Unadilla.
Yeah, and was also 3rd fastest qualifying today, and he's also a South African, so he definitely...
Oh, Dakotas!
Woo! Huge crash by one of the Honda riders over the bars. Dakotas.
Shaking up a bit.
He was one to watch.
Wow, what a highlight he gave us there, or more like a low light.
And yeah, so we wanted to watch Dakotas, maybe not for that reason. Take us through this, Jeff.
Watch, he's trying to block the inside. Tucks the front wheel. You see the bike just knife on him, eject him over the bars.
Wow. Hope he's okay. Aaron, what do you hear from Dakota's camp coming into the day?
Coming into the day, you guys, he's got over 30 family and friends here supporting him, so he wanted to go out there and show off his skills. No pressure. He had some bets made with his friends as well, so this is a huge disappointment for Jimmy Dakotas today.
Going to lose some money on that one.
Yeah,
the only good thing is that that's kind of a section of the track that's kind of over the backside in the old pit area. Not a lot of people can see back in that area, you know, unless you walk back there. Not like in the main part of the track here. You can see almost all of the racing here at Southwick.
So maybe his friends, family didn't see that, and they're just going to think he's putting on a great come-from-behind charge after a bad start.
Just never happened. I'll tell you what has happened is Gareth Swanepoel, his DNA Shred Sticks Yamaha team, that really at the beginning of the season, you know, Swanepoel was a bit up and down, but it was Cunningham, some of the other team members who were setting the pace for the team. But I tell you, Swanepoel has been really strong here this mid to late part of the championship here.
And let's give a shout out to Lance Vincent on the 245, who was a replacement rider for Dakotas when Dakotas was out with an injury on the Geico Honda. Vincent now back on the Moto Innovations Ankle Savers Honda. A privateer team is running second. It is his first year as a professional. He's got Rattray right behind him. Rattray won the overall this race 1 year ago, so he's going to be hard to stop. So 2 of your top 3 riders are both from South Africa. And then Sean Wright was 4th at the end of lap 1, another privateer. We see it happen all the time out here at Southwick. Upset specials. Guys who just know this track well and are able to run the pace, although I think he's lost a few spots since the last time they came around.
And of our 3 championship contenders, it's Rattray that sits in 3rd. Wilson, I believe, now is up to 4th. But Rattray might have just made the move there. And Blake Baggett, way outside of the top 10, just behind Tickle. They got to be upwards of 18th to 20th now.
Yeah, and you can just see the red number plate in the Kawasaki Wilson there at the top of your screen. That's your series points leader, Jeff. So Wilson in a good position. The rider chasing him in points. Baggett way back. Rattray's in front of him, but Rattray crashed out at Unadilla last week and lost a lot of points. So Wilson doesn't really have to worry too much about his teammate. He's got to worry about the 245 of Vincent right now, who has shown time and time again, if he gets to start, he's fast enough to battle with the best.
Yeah, he definitely is. But, you know, you look at Wilson, he mentioned that he didn't like the sand, that he doesn't feel that he rides well in the sand. I think the more important thing is the confidence and where he's at this season. He's certainly at a level where he's strong enough, he's fit enough, and the confidence is there. After that win last week, it was just like a whole new rider. And that's what you need coming in here to Southwick is to be happy, to be confident in yourself and your bike setup.
Yeah, right now, though, he's got hold of a very confident, apparently, Lance Vincent, who is right there, giving Wilson all he can handle. He also got Rattray just in front of them, past the mechanics area. Wilson going to try to sweep from the outside to the inside, and Vincent able to hold him at bay. And then behind him, we got another one of the Yamaha riders. That is Gannon Audette on the 533.
It's got to be one of the best starts of the season for Audette, who most of the time we'd see him flirting around right around 11th through 15th. But I tell you, when you get to start.
Oh, Kyle Cunningham, another member of that Star Racing Yamaha team, is down. And Cunningham had been Mr. Consistent the last couple of rounds, but he's going to have a tough time with a consistent finish here after the crash.
Yeah, Cunningham came into this event 4th in points. Average finish of an 8th. Now, that's his average. He's had some really good rides this season, but it's those mistakes like that that cause you to fall back in the points and also to have to take that average down.
Wilson makes the move on Vincent, so he is up to 3rd. That's where you want to be. When you got that points lead, stay up inside those podium positions, which would be the top 3. We mentioned Gannon Audette. I'd say this is the Gannon Audette audition. They, I believe, have 3 of the 4 spots filled on that team next year. They're going to keep Kyle Cunningham, keep Ryan Sipes. I believe they're going to sign one of the young kids coming out of the amateur ranks, Kyle Peters. It means there's 1 spot left on Star Racing next year. I'm sure Gareth Swanepoel wants it. I'm sure Gannon Audette wants it. There's probably someone who's not on the team right now that would like to get it. So they're not afraid to put a little pressure on their riders and make them go earn the ride for next year.
Yeah, there's no doubt about it. And Bobby Reagan, who owns that team,
he's a straight shooter.
He's a straight shooter. He drops the hammer. There is, you know, he doesn't beat around the bush with stuff. So I'm quite sure there's been talks with the agents, the parents, everyone involved that this is what it's going to take to get the 4th spot on my race team.
Well, Swanepoel's doing the job. He's leading the race right now. That's not a bad position to be in. Go back a few other spots. We're watching the 25 of Sipes now back in action. Missed a couple of rounds, battling with the 156 of Jason Anderson, and that is her spot inside the top 10. Sipes apparently had a problem with low blood sugar and had to change his diet after about a month off. Is feeling strong enough to come race. Doesn't know if he'll have the endurance to really go all the way to the end of 30+2 on a rough track like this, but Sipes going to give it a shot. And like we said, right now inside the top 10. So leads beginning to tighten up. Rattray, no surprise, beginning to move forward. He has been lethal at this racetrack. Won his first ever moto in the U.S. in 2009 here. Won the overall in 2010. And he's taking on his countryman, fellow South African, Gareth Swanepoel. So apparently they got some sand down in South Africa. I've not had the pleasure of going and hanging out there myself, but I'm going to assume that they've got some sand because the 2 South Africans are leading the way here in the sand track.
Well, we've been told that it's hot down there. We know that.
Does it rain like this? They've got that figured out too.
And taking a look at the track, you see that inside line finally starting to smooth out, and some of the lines are really have got some flow to it. What doesn't have flow is the entry to all of the turns and all the braking bumps getting in there. It's not one really defined line, and that's when you know, the riders talk about having the flow and using their technique and letting the bike move around under them without losing their momentum and backing off the pace.
And Rattray's so strong at this track. Talk a little bit about Rattray's style, technique, and what do you think works for him at Southwick? He's been very strong here.
Yeah, he's just a bulldog, and he likes the rougher style tracks. I mean, that's what he likes, is when it's bumpy and all that, that's when his mind says, yes, I like this, you know, this,
this terrain, this layout,
yeah.
This rain, soil, heat, whatever it is. Aaron, what do you hear on the 28?
It was a big loss and a big disappointment for Tyler Rattray at Unadilla after he suffered a concussion during moto number 2. But he did take a couple days off the bike. He got back to his program. His trainer, Alden Baker, got him dialed in exactly what he needed to be for Southwick. But he did say he's got a hematoma on his left inner thigh that's been causing him some problems. So this is a physically demanding track, and that might affect it a little bit more.
Yeah, I'll tell you what, probably not the track you want to come into. With some injuries coming in, this track will beat you up, aggravate them for sure.
Well, there's some other riders on the track who've taken some pretty bad spills here today, and this is the type of track that just throws you off.
And we'll show you one of those drop-offs. Dimitri Angelo, who goes down on the 491.
Definitely not what you want to do here on the track, and it just makes it even tougher to finish that moto off. And that was a dangerous spot where he went down too, Weeds, because that's kind of that blind Lucas Oil jump there.
Yeah, some of the other riders might not have seen him there, but luckily no one ran into him. He's back up on the bike. Swanepoel, Rattray continuing to battle. Wilson 3rd. Gannon Audette has climbed up to 4th. Lance Vincent 5th. Malcolm Stewart, Sean Reif, Ryan Sipes, Jason Anderson rounding out your top 10. I said Reif had local knowledge. I believe he's from Cincinnati, Ohio, so it shows what I know. Basically, you do get this track, though, and there's some young kids that can go out there and really hang it out with a good start. We'll see if Reif can stay in the top 10, and we'll see if Swanepoel can continue to hold Rattray at bay. Great battle up front here at the Wick.
Last year, the
Lucas Oil AMA Pro. And we have Kawasaki leading the way out here at Southwick. Your new leader is the 28 of Tyler Rattray. Not a huge shock there. We mentioned at the top of the show how strong he has been at this track the previous years here. And we're going to take you through how he got the lead from his fellow South African, Gareth Swanepoel.
Notice he carries some momentum, and earlier in the 450 class, the right side was not the line. Tyler just pounds his way, G's the bike out at the bottom of that, and you notice Gareth Swanepoel has no choice but to go wide there. That allows Tyler the short line on the inside, and I'll tell you, he's the fastest man on the track by far. Just turned a 2:05.5.
Wow.
Then Swanepoel was a 2:09, and Wilson a high 2:06. So Rattray just flying at the moment, but Wilson's only about 6 seconds behind the lead on this.
Well, what's interesting about Rattray is all year long, everybody's talking about how consistent he is, how strong he is. but there have been races where the speed has gotten him the victory. Not just the endurance, not just the experience, but there are times when he is darn fast. I'm probably a little bit underrated in that category. And he used the speed to get past Swanepoel right now, who is trying to hold off Wilson. Then it's Audette, and a nice ride by Malcolm Stewart, who is in the number 5 spot on that Arna Energy Suzuki City machine. Here is Wilson starting to close on Swanepoel.
As the rain starts to come down, that's going to make it a little more difficult for these riders. But at this point, heart rate is maxed out, your breathing is maxed out. You know, you are taking the motorcycle and pushing it to its limits. But I would say for Dean Wilson, your points leader, who claims he's not a good sand rider, he doesn't like the sand. You know, this is an event that, you know, in his mind, he'd rather not be on the championship circuit, but it is. And he's doing a fantastic job here in Moto 1, keeping that red plate.
Oh, and Aaron has caught up to our rider to watch, Jimmy Dakotas. Aaron?
That's right. What an upsetting day. Jimmy, 2 crashes for you during this moto. A lot riding on today, a lot of family and friends. Are you okay, and what exactly happened out there?
I'm all right. It's just the track's tough today, and I had a good start, and I went down pretty good. I don't know, a little beat up, but I'll be back for the second moto.
All right, and you can hear the Massachusetts accent shining through. He wanted to do well here in front of the local folks.
Watch.
And we'll show you this crash again, yeah.
Watch this. This is what you call a wicked crash here. Watch this as the front wheel tucks right here and knives and just stops. Jimmy gets pitched over the front. Fortunately, he landed in that nice, soft, fluffy sand berm, or it could have been even worse.
And you also saw behind him a couple of the other surprises with the good starts there, like Lance Vincent and also Sean Wright. They were able to survive that first lap and are trying to power themselves on to decent finishes right now. How about Gannon Audette, who is in the number 4 spot? Maybe they get a little motivation there for both the Swanepoel and Audette. Try to hang on to their rides on this Yamaha team next year. Yeah, pounding out the laps in the rain.
Yeah, and I think the motivation is Ryan Sipes has moved up into the position just behind him. The Frenchman, Marvin Muscan, has moved up. Anderson, and then Malcolm Stewart, who we've not spoke about at all. He is just behind his teammate, Anderson.
So Stewart actually lost a little bit of ground that last time around, had a bad lap, perhaps a crash that took him a couple positions further back. So we'll follow all those riders. Audette, Sipes, Muscan, Anderson, Stewart, all pretty close. And then you got Darren Durham, who's just put Lance Vincent behind him. And still really haven't found the 57 of Blake Baggett, who's 12th. There is Stewart, 139, who was in the top 5 about a lap ago and is trying to regroup now. Let's see, you've got Sipes in the number 5 spot, then Muscan 6, Stewart back to 7. And Durham moving forward along with Tickle and Baggett to get into that top 10. Also no sign of Eli Tomac. He's in about 12th. Eli Tomac is your fastest rider in qualifying, and once again done in by a bad start.
You know, it's interesting. You know, Malcolm growing up, obviously his older brother, James Stewart, who is one of 2 riders in this championship to have ever had a perfect season. 2008, James Stewart just executed every moto to perfection.
Including Southwick. Yeah. Won both motos. We're watching Baggett here. We found him. Chupacabra trying to work his way to the front. 2nd overall in our last race at Unadilla, but he was not happy about that because he lost some ground in the championship to Wilson. He might lose more ground here. Tries to go after the 37 of Durham.
Wow, it is really starting to come down now, Weege.
And we've almost got standing water, and that, Jeff, that takes a lot to see standing puddles on a sand track as Baggett blows past Durham. Durham's got to take the goggles off.
Over the GoPro on the top of his head there.
Be a good clip to see.
Oh, I'm sure those guys do such a good job with that, you know, so.
And we'll probably see that on our show next week. Let's talk about Baggett. Oh, wait a minute. Let's talk about, I believe that's Cunningham. Oh, that's 2 crashes in this moto for Kyle. And this one might have knocked him out of it. And he had really turned it around this year as far as the consistency. You see him grabbing his left shoulder there.
It looks like right around the Buckley turn, I believe. Right, Buckley berm there.
That's a bummer for Kyle, who had really learned the consistent part of this game, at least had for the last couple of weeks. See one of the Rockstar Suzuki bikes off the side of the track. Trying to figure out who that is when we come back. We'll give you an update on all this as the rain comes down at Southwick.
Since I was a kid, I've been...
Welcome back. The rain is coming down here at the Lucas Oil AMA Pro Motocross Championship Rockstar Energy Drink National in Southwick, Massachusetts. You can see standing water on this track and puddles, which is not normally the case because this is a sand track. Sand usually absorbs all that water, so if it looks muddy, that means it is raining really hard. Don't miss the premiere of the Moto Inside the Outdoors coming up September 10th, right after our final race of this Lucas Oil AMA Pro Motocross Championship, which will be live right here on Fuel TV. So you can take an inside look at the real story behind the ride, behind the racers, behind the teams. It's a great show. It's the Moto Inside the Outdoors, Saturday, September 10th at 6 Eastern and 3 Pacific, only on Fuel TV. Now, normally that show would come on in the wintertime, well after the series was complete.
Oh, Tyler stalls it. He stalled the engine.
Is there a problem? Can he get it going?
He got it back going, but this is
Swanepoel
around the outside.
And Wilson right there as well. They got to get around the 4-1-2 of Kilbarger, who's a lap down, and we've got a change up for the lead. Garrett Swanepoel's got it. 6 minutes and 50 seconds to go.
And Rattray, who was turning in some nice, comfortable laps, made a couple of little mistakes where he really got out of shape. Tried to check up for the lap rider, stalled the engine on the Kawasaki. Now he's got it going, and this is the time of the moto here where you're already, fatigued and heart rate's up and all that, and this is going to be frustrating for him.
Well, it's time to be, as you like to say, Jeff, time to be comfortable being uncomfortable, because these guys are covered in sand. If rain's coming down, they could probably barely even see. They got the tear-offs and roll-offs on the goggles, but that's good when they get mud and sand on them. Raindrops, can't do much about that.
I'm telling you, if I'm Garrett Swanepoel, I am going to throw everything I have to this moto. Here's his chance to win his very first AMA race here in the U.S. What a great place it would be to do it. And doesn't Southwick just have that sort of...
And, it does, exactly. Something crazy always seems to happen on this track, and this could be it.
Especially in these conditions. I mean, it just seems to equalize it and give certain riders, let them pick up an advantage here, but wow.
Well, he's actually pulled away a little bit as we watch Wilson in third. Wilson's pretty close to Rattray, but Rattray's lost a little bit of ground to Swanepoel. By the way, what a shout out to the international flair of the American Motocross Series with the 2 South Africans out front and the Scotsman, Dean Wilson, in third. Could be a podium sweep for riders based outside of the U.S. So we talk about the locals and the kind of damage they can do at Southwick.
Yeah,
no local mastery for these guys.
Yeah, and I mean, everyone on the world stage of motocross knows that the Motocross of Nations is going to be held in France this year. About five weeks away now.
Yeah, all 3 of these riders will be there representing their countries. Swanepoel, can he get it done? And that was maybe foreshadowing when I talked to his team owner, Bobby Regan, yesterday and said we have 1 slot open in that team. And yes, the riders who are on the team this year could be back on next year, but we want to see them perform. We want podiums out of them, and Swanepoel's going to try to not just get on the podium, but win the darn thing.
Yeah, and what's interesting here is this is when you can really tell how much rain is coming down, because now there's so much water coming down, and it's starting to clean off the bikes. Now, back in the old days, when we had, when the AMA had the timing and scoring girls, actually it was just scoring. There was really no timing to it. So this would be a big advantage. Now, obviously, we have a transponder system that's all done digitally and electronically and all that. But still, for the fans and for all of us on TV, this is great. And especially if you're a sponsor. All your sponsor logos are cleaned off.
All right, even better for Swanepoel. And man, how good does he look? He is really starting to march away from Rattray. Feeling it right now in some of the worst conditions you can possibly ride a motorcycle in. Swanepoel is riding his best. And this could be his race to lose now. Rattray's not even applying the pressure. Swanepoel's just got to keep it going.
Swanepoel just turned a 2:12.4, Rattray a 2:14.1, and Wilson a 2:15.4. So all 3 riders were wheel to wheel about this point of the track 1 lap ago, and Swanepoel is taking advantage of this. And this is a real veteran-type ride here. I mean, he does not look to be shaken at all, and he is determined to win this moto.
Got a new team manager over there with Doug Shapinski, who is the old Bridgestone tire mastermind, is now the new team manager for Star Racing. This, I believe, is his first day on the job with that team.
Yeah, well, not first day, but the first race.
First
that's
race.
for sure.
And they are winning this race. Oh, watch out going through that deep water. We have seen bikes and bike problems here at Southwick. Ken Swanepoel, hold on. Stay tuned. High drama here at Moto X 338 at Southwick. Gareth Swanepoel is looking to win the moto. That would be his first ever moto win in the United States. And Jeff, for the series, an even bigger moment than that. Explain why.
Monster Energy Pro Circuit Kawasaki has won every moto of this season with Blake Baggett, Tyler Rattray, and Dean Wilson. Could Gareth Swanepoel on the DNA Shredstick Yamaha be the first rider to stop Mitch Payton and his powerhouse team?
You can see time has expired. That means 30 minutes is up. We'll have 2 laps to go, and Swanepoel is checking out right now.
As the track gets rougher, he's turning it up at 2:14.6.
Pulling away. All right, folks, big talk, big sports, big tunes. The Daily Habit is the wildest late-night party on television. Weeknights at 11 Eastern and Pacific, only on Fuel TV. It's a fun show to watch.
Got to check it out. Pat Parnell, my boy.
That is your boy.
Just like
it's the Tyler Rattray's boy there. His mechanic is fired up there, a lap and a half away from winning their first moto of the year. That would be the first moto win, I believe, ever for this team. First moto win in the United States ever for Swanepoel. A lot of firsts here if he can get this first place finish in this moto.
Yeah, Gareth takes a look over his shoulder. He sees his fellow countryman, Tyler Rattray, is not giving up on this moto one bit. You know he's going to hammer it all the way to the checkered flag, but says 2 to go. It's a lap and a half at this point. This is when the concentration and the focus, when it's the toughest, because the nerves start to come in. He's got to be a little bit nervous about this also, so he has to keep the hammer down on this Yamaha all the way to the finish, try to minimize any mistakes and just ride perfect laps. And notice he was going through the water last lap around.
How do you avoid it at this point?
Definitely moisture starting to run off from the side of the track onto that section. And as the day goes on, if we get more rain, this is one of those places where the moisture and the water, if there's actually water holes to go through, where that, gives the bikes a problem of sucking water through the air filter into the engine.
Well, the team said they want podium finishes from their riders. Swanepoel has had 4 fourth-place finishes in the motos this year. He's running 6th in points. He's been solid. He's been consistent. He has yet to put the bike up on the box in the top 3. He's on the verge of that right now, and he might just do it by winning it.
Yeah, and it's not like the team owner, Bobby Regan, was like, before this, he asked for a top 10.
That's a lot to ask for, top 3.
But this team and the whole effort there that they have as they come by for the final lap, the white flag, this team has gotten better. And all of the riders on the team have performed at different times of the year. Now for Bobby, if he could take the finishes of all the riders and put them all on one bike.
One super rider?
Yeah, one super rider. But that's what it takes. And this team has done a really good job with that. And with the success, they'll have the ability to build on that, bring young riders up that want to ride for this team, like Kyle Peters, who they've signed now.
Yeah, that's a rookie who I believe will make his debut, possibly at Steel City. Was supposed to race a couple weeks ago at Unadilla, had a back injury. He should get back into it. But right now, the story is the 387, Gareth Swanepoel, a veteran of racing in Europe for many, many years, wanted to try racing the U.S., actually downgraded himself in a way, had been riding 450 bikes for years. But the only ride he could get was on a 250 team. He wanted to give it a shot, and what a shot he has given it, as he is only a few turns away from a moto victory. And you called it, Jeff. This track is the one that seems to breed upsets like this.
It is, and last time around at that white flag, Swanepoel was still at a 214, and it was Rattray that had fallen off to a 216, and Wilson even to a 219. So with the lead, a little bit of good fortune here, and Swanepoel is on his way to his first win of his career here in the U.S. What a special moment.
Yeah, Rattray stalled in the lead, but you can't say Swanepoel didn't earn it. Rattray had about 10 more minutes to try to get him back, and Swanepoel has pulled away. So obviously things are going well. He's just got to hang on for a half a lap, and I hate to bring this up, but we have seen mechanical gremlins at this point of the motor. In fact, last year Brett Metcalfe was leading a race right around this spot when he ran out of gas, so I hope they have everything dialed in on the 387.
Yeah, I mean, he's taking a look over his shoulder on more than one occasion here on this last lap to keep an eye on where Rattray is, and he knows that he's got this one in the bag, just one turn and one jump to go.
Unbelievable. Well, we expected teams and riders to challenge Pro Circuit at the beginning of the year. I don't know if we expected this one to be the one that would upset them and end their streak. Garrett Swanepoel wins Moto #1 at Southwick. His first win ever in the U.S., the first win ever for his team in a Moto Outdoors, and the first rider not on a Kawasaki this year to take a Moto victory.
Wow, and the Pro Circuit win streak is over for the year.
Still a solid run by them. They finished second and third with Rattray and Wilson. But Garrett Swanepoel, his long journey from South Africa through Europe, now to the United States, all that hard work has paid off. He has got a Moto victory. And congratulations all around. Much respect from his competitors. That's pretty cool.
Wow, what a ride there. You know, and Rattray took a very similar path from South Africa through Europe, riding the GP circuit, won the World Championship, and is here in the U.S. also. Look at this, high fives all the way around. That is a good feeling right there.
We'll give a shout out to the previous team manager of that team, Alan Brown, who was running the squad up until our last race at Unadilla. He and Bobby Regan decided to part ways, but certainly a lot of the momentum that team has built up this year was built by him. And congrats to Doug Shapinski, the new boss, who's got himself a Moto winner. And we'll talk to him when we return. A dramatic moto just completed the Lucas Oil AMA Pro Motocross Championship here live on Fuel TV. Let's send it down to the podium with Aaron Bates and our new winner.
That's right, Garrett Swanepoel, the man to break the Pro Circuit win streak. Garrett, what does it mean to not only pull off your first career victory, but to also overcome the conditions and have it happen at this track?
Well, it's just amazing, you know. Like you said, we start the Pro Circuit win streak. I think I proved Yamaha's got the best power out of the gate. Yamaha was the best bike on the track. They had some problems. We didn't have any problems. And yeah, I'm so happy, you know. We've been working so hard for this, and this just means the world to me.
How did you pull this off today? The track conditions have changed so drastically from morning until this afternoon. The rain really came down mid-race for you guys. How do you adapt to that?
Well, you know, I spent a lot of years in Europe, so I've grown up racing in these conditions. You know, and I just believed the whole way, you know, from the time I got the whole shot, I believed and believed. I had a small problem. I burnt my back brakes out, but actually once I burnt my back brakes, I started to ride even smoother. So just like to say thanks to Yamaha, DNA, Stress, Scott, NFAB, just everyone. Thank you very much, guys.
What was going through your mind when you saw Tyler Rattray, the 28, stall or have some sort of issue? You made the pass by him. What was going through your mind at that point?
Well, you know, at one point he passed me, he pulled a little gap, and then I started to get the flow back, and I keep him honest and looked to me like I was closing him, and then I saw him having a bit of problems, and I heard his bike, and I thought, this is it, put your head down and go.
Congratulations on your first moto win.
All right, that is awesome. Congratulations to Swanee, who's got himself a moto victory. There are the results. Rattray hangs on for second. Wilson, solid points for your series points leader in third. And look at the rest of the Yamahas. Gavin Audette in fourth. Ryan Villopoto sixth. Brock Tickle, a great charge late in the race, Jeff.
Tickle was easily 20th at the start, all the way up to 5th. An incredible ride.
Meanwhile, Blake Baggett was 9th, not what he wanted. Malcolm Stewart is 11th. Tyler Medaglia, champion in the 250 class up in Canada, finishes 12th. Great ride for him. Justin Bogle, probably not what he wanted, 18th for the rookie. Give you the rest of the results here outside of the top 20. These riders who just missed the points. Justin Sipes is Ryan's brother. He finishes 23rd. And some bad luck for these guys. Jason Anderson was riding well. I think he crashed out of that one. We saw him off the side of the track. Dakotas we saw crash out early. Better luck next time for these guys. Let's send it back down to the podium with Aaron.
It was an upsetting Moto2 for Tyler Rattray, but Tyler, you made a drastic comeback here. What does it mean to be able to make a comeback after a concussion at a track like this one?
Yeah, you know, it's awesome. You know, I always love riding in the sand, and spent a lot of time in Europe riding in the sand. So it was a good motor. You know, I got into the lead and made a pretty big mistake. Almost went down, stalled the engine, and bump started it, and yeah, it didn't seem to get going. So just want to thank all the guys from Monster Energy, Pro Kawasaki, Potsdam and Thor, Vans, Volcom, my wife, my parents, everyone. Thank you.
You won the overall here at Southwick last year, the day your baby girl was born. What would it mean to be able to come out and do that again to celebrate her first birthday?
Oh, I definitely second motor is going to be better. You know, I was struggling a bit with my suspension in that moto, and going to go back, change it, and second motor should be good.
Maybe Daddy will take home a birthday present.
September 6th, it's the world television premiere of Strangers in Danger. Best friends and pro BMXers Mike Escamilla and Zach Catfish Yankush are lightly packed but heavily insured. They're on a mission to take on some of the most extreme, bizarre, and dangerous experiences around the globe. This is going to be a good show. So check out Strangers in Danger Tuesday, September 6th at 10:30 Eastern and Pacific on Fuel TV. And let's send it down to Aaron Bates with someone who is no stranger to the podium. Aaron?
That's right. The points leader, Dean Wilson, you managed to stay consistent just as you had planned on doing. Take us through exactly how challenging this track was during this moto.
Yeah, the track was very challenging. I mean, it was crazy. At one point, I almost had the lead. You know, I was all over Gareth. I caught him, and the roost was so bad. You know, I just couldn't see at all. And the biggest problem I had about at the end there was my hand kept slipping off the handlebars about 4 times, and I just had no grip. And you know, so about 3 laps to go, I just settled for third. And you know, I'd rather get good points than crash out and lose a bunch of points. So yeah, I mean, I'm pretty happy, and I'd just like to thank all the boys, Monster Energy, Pro Kawasaki, Thor, Dunlop, Parts Unlimited, Toyo Escondido, Chad for helping me out. He's been a big help to me. My dad watching at home, Dungey, Kev, and Big Colin. Thanks.
I saw you talking to Chad Reed right behind the podium when you pulled off from your race. What exactly did you two discuss?
He just said, you know, that was good points, you know, in which I felt it was. You know, Blake, I think, got 8, so I gained some good points. And, yeah, I mean, he just said, you still have a chance at the overall, just keep it chill and you'll be fine. So, you know, he's got so much experience, and it really helps me. And, yeah, it's great to have a guy, you know, help me out like that.
Congratulations on getting your flow and keeping it consistent.
All right, so he is up on the podium, and a lot of fans out here still cheering these riders on, and they're the ones that are really grinding it out today. It's tough conditions to go watch races in.
I'm telling you, the fans up here in New England, they are conditioned for rain and stuff like this, so it doesn't bother them one bit.
All right, well, maybe they're not digging down that deep. This is another day in the park. Aaron's got our 4th place finisher, Garen Audette. Aaron?
Speaking of digging deep, Gannon Audette has been digging deep all season long, and you wanted to make this podium more than anything this weekend. You're so close with a 4th place finish in this moto. What can you do coming back for that second moto to make a podium occur?
You know, just get another good start, and you know, just try to stay up, stay on 2 wheels. You know, it's been raining. It just started raining that moto. I think it's going to rain all day, so you know, definitely need to stay on 2 wheels, and you know, just do the best you can out there, and you know, that's all you can do.
Rainy, muddy conditions down here, guys. Moto 2 wrapped up in the books, or Moto 1 wrapped up in the books. Back to you guys.
Now, see, I couldn't tell it was rainy conditions, Aaron. Is it raining? I couldn't. The harometer, how's it doing? Is it a little bit humid out there today?
Well, I don't know if it's exactly humid. It's definitely pouring down rain. The air and barometer, we can always tell, the boys can always tell here at the track if it's going to be a hot, humid day. So this is for you guys at home.
It's raining. See, we didn't know because we're in this weatherproof booth that we get to announce, and I was sorry about that, Aaron. Oh, look at that. It is raining.
Yeah. You guys,
who knew?
You have the best conditions in that TV truck.
Yeah, we are not digging down deep at all. We're not digging shallow. We're not digging at all. We'll be right back after this. We'll talk more about our 250 top riders, so stay with us. A rainy day here, the Lucas Oil AMA Pro Motocross Championships Rockstar Energy Drink Southwick National from Massachusetts. Let's give you the race recap. Jimmy Dakotas goes down hard on the first lap. Tough luck for the local favorite here in 250 Moto 1. Meanwhile, out front, a pair of South Africans. The 387 on the blue bike. Gareth Swanepoel had the lead. Tyler Rattray is going to get him on the 28, the Monster Energy Pro Circuit Kawasaki. And you're thinking, since Rattray won this race last year, he's going to cruise to victory again, right? No chance. Stalls the bike. Here comes Swanepoel, the 387, and also the 15 of Dean Wilson to challenge Rattray. 3 riders in the same corner, battling for the lead. But Kawasaki boys were not able to get Swanepoel back. He actually pulled away down the stretch and takes his first moto win ever in the United States. And that's the first non-Kawasaki moto win this year. So congratulations to him. Rattray and Wilson rounded out the podium. We did talk to Gannon Audette, who finished 4th. That's Swanepoel's teammate. And Brock Tickle finished 5th. And, man, we cannot give enough credit. We tease Aaron down there working out in the conditions. But these guys, unbelievable, the conditions they have to deal with. And judging by the rain, I don't think it's going to get much better as the day goes on. And we've only completed half of our 4 motos that we'll have on television today. So good luck, guys. Thanks for doing the hard work and making us look so good. Hopefully we'll have better conditions at our upcoming round of the series. Here's your schedule. We'll have our highlights from Southwick, of course, Thursday night at 10 p.m. Eastern. Highlights every Thursday night at 10 Eastern on Fuel TV. Then we'll be at Steel City, just outside of Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, next weekend, September 3rd. For Labor Day weekend, and then the grand finale at Pala outside of San Diego, California. That'll be live September 10th. All the first motos of the 450 and 250 classes are live every Saturday at 1 o'clock local time on Fuel TV. Well, we expected the unexpected here at Southwick, a track that always seems to bring the drama, and it happened. Ryan Dungey back up front in the 450 class, and Garrett Swanepoel breaking Kawasaki's win streak in the 250 class. Great racing. We're glad you could join us. For Aaron Bates and Jeff Emig, I'm Jason Wygant. We'll catch you next week from Steel City on Fuel TV.
Every turn into a monster, ready to take your season away. For the 3 men hoping to capture the 450 crown, this is the season's wildcard race. Survive Southwick and stay in the battle for 2 more rounds. Win at the famous MX338 and carry bragging rights that you have conquered America's toughest motocross track. Gate drop for round 10 of the Lucas Oil AMA Pro Motocross Championship is next.
From a very rainy Moto X338 facility in Southwick, Massachusetts, it's the Lucas Oil AMA Pro Motocross Championships Rockstar Energy Drink, Southwick National. Let's take a look at the highlights of the first 450 class moto, which took place earlier today. It looks like the number 2 of Ryan Villopoto is going to get the whole shot, but he gets bumped and banged around by Justin Barcia. And the number 1 of Ryan Dungey is going to emerge with the lead with his teammate Brett Metcalfe right behind. A rare whole shot this year for Dungey. Barcia, though, was not done. He was running in 4th behind Metcalfe after Villopoto got by them. Here they go, a great duel for the number 3 spot between the 24 and the 17, and Barcia is going to secure that position and try to run Villopoto down. Then this kid, Michael Satile, the fastest qualifier today, a local product, went down, and then Barcia was out of the race, apparently with bike problems, dropping him from 3rd to about last. And he wasn't the only one. Chad Reed then went out with bike problems of his own, and we believe the points he lost in this moto may essentially eliminate Reed from championship contention. No such trouble for Dungey. Villopoto gave him a run late in the moto, but the number 1 holds on to be number 1 in Moto 1. Ryan Dungey taking your first race today. Well, everyone, and welcome to Southwick. Jason Wygant, of course, joined by 4-time AMA National Champion Jeff Emig. Let's give you the big picture storylines we're going to follow from the sand track here at Moto X338 in Southwick. First of all, Ryan Villopoto is coming in here with the momentum. Not only the series points lead, but victory at our last round of the tour in upstate New York. He swept both motos. Second in the first moto today. He continues his strong riding. But looking for answers, Justin Barcia, Chad Reed, not what they wanted in the first moto this afternoon when their bikes couldn't get them to the finish line. They've got to figure something out, and figure something out in a hurry if they want to get back in contention. And Hurricane Irene making a surprise appearance in the Lucas Oil AMA Pro Motocross Championship, and she might wreak more havoc on the field than any of the riders. It definitely will have an impact on the racing today because it's been raining for a long time. So, Jeff, we throw it to you. We're on a sand track, which is ordinarily rough, ordinarily slippery, very difficult. Now we're throwing Hurricane Irene and the rain in the mix. How difficult is it going to be today to just get to the finish line?
Well, it is proved to be difficult for some riders, either by their own riding or by the machine. And so we've taken a racetrack that already taxes the body, already taxes the machine. It's really tough on the equipment, and it's made it even tougher. The rain coming down gives you problems with the goggles and water and all that getting in there. Water coming into the machine through the airbox, different things, you know, with the bike. So it's been challenging all around. But we did see the two title contenders, Ryan Villopoto and Ryan Dungey, both go at it. And Dungey had a great first moto. He was out front leading. But at the end of that first moto, Ryan Villopoto put on a real strong charge. But Dungey picked up 2 more points towards the championship. It's down to 4.
Yeah, and it sets the scene for what should be a great Moto 2 between the two Ryans, and who knows who else can get in there. And for more information on this race, let's send it down to the third member of our broadcast team, Aaron Bates, with a progressive pre-race report.
Another huge upset as far as the championship goes. You can see behind me the Rockstar Makita Suzuki team is vigorously working, trying to get this bike, to get it prepared, get it down on the line. Ryan Dungey is actually down on the start gate right now, but you can see his mechanic and the whole team, Mike Gosler. They have put it together, they have pulled it apart, they tried starting it again. At this point, they've got it back apart. They are working, doing everything they can. They still have a few moments to get this bike down onto the start line before it's too late. His entire family is here. They're looking. Michelle and Troy are watching in a look of disbelief.
Well, yeah, I don't remember ever a championship being possibly decided like this. There he is in the starting line. He has no idea what's going on.
Well, I have actually been in this position once before where I was on the line as the points leader, and the bike did not make it, and it was an ignition problem. Now at one point this bike was running, and then it stopped, and so they took it back apart trying to figure out what's going on.
And Dungey, just no team, no bike. The entire crew is up there at the truck in the pits, and he's prepping his gate perhaps to not even race. The championship could be slipping away from the team right now.
If you ride a motorcycle, please be careful.
Get ready. Over here is the name of the game in the Rockstar Makita Suzuki pits. They are still trying to bolt Ryan Dungey's bike back together. They cannot get the engine running. There is your defending series champ. Only 4 points behind in the series. Doesn't race moto. Championship could be gone, Jeff.
Yeah, it very well could be, and you can see the urgency. Ryan is looking on, where is my machine?
Unbelievable. Meanwhile, let's give you our track map brought to you by Kawasaki and the 2012 KX450F. Fully equipped and race ready. Jeff, take us on a tour.
I can tell you the track map that we have right now is one-dimensional. Once the riders hit the track after the gate drop, it is going to be very much be three-dimensional, and track is getting very wet. It's getting very rough. The soil here, when it gets really saturated, it becomes rutted as opposed to a nice, fluffy, sandy situation. So the bumps are going to form up much more of a choppy, small bump, square edge type of thing as opposed to a big, long sand whooping rolling.
And we've also got rain coming down, although usually the story is that sand tracks hold up better with rain than a hard pack track. Is that the case here?
Yeah, most definitely. I mean, this place can take a lot of rain, but where we will see a lot of water starting to collect is at the bottoms of certain areas. When there's like a G out down there, around the second turn, actually, we talked during the track walk that it could be a real problem area.
Right.
And through the old finish line area where there's those deep dips.
So we've got conditions to keep an eye on, a very dynamic track that's going to change a lot, and of course the dynamic championship chase, which has changed considering that Ryan Dungey won our first moto earlier today and may not be able to compete in our second moto. They're taking the bike off the stand, and that is the mechanic Mike Gosler. I believe that would mean they're ready to go down to the line. Is the bike running?
Yeah, the bike is running. Mike Gosler, of course.
Well, he's going to have to show some riding skills himself right now. He's going to hustle.
Get the machine down to the starting line. Possibly even Ryan could make the parade lap here. True sense of urgency here for Team Suzuki and Ryan Dungey and all the people involved in this, in this racing effort.
The parade lap is optional. The riders don't have to take it. So if Dungey doesn't complete this sight lap, that's not a problem. The issue is that he wasn't there with his bike on time when they selected their gate, so he will have the last gate selection. Explain that.
And also, Jason, we walked the gate during qualifying practice. I pointed out how when you are about the last 10 gates to the right, it cuts in so hard that it's a real funnel and a vortex going to the first turn. If your 10 gates are out, so if you're lining up 30 to 40, which is where Dungey will be gate number 40, you really have no chance at getting the whole shot here. So this is going to drastically decrease his chances of getting a good start.
Unbelievable. Dungey has the bike. He's rolled out on the racetrack. He's ready to go racing. Now he's got to overcome the bad gate pick. And where is he at mentally at this point?
Well, the one thing that I believe that Dungey can count on is to rely on his team to know that, okay, if this bike is on the track and if they gave it to me, it's 100% ready to go race.
Right.
So I don't have to be weary. I don't have to question whether or not something's going to go wrong on the bike. You know, should I back it off? Should I check it out? But he does have the advantage of being able to go out now for the parade lap and get a feel for it and just build that extra little bit of confidence that, okay, I'm ready to go. He's going to need it because this gate pick is going to be a massive disadvantage for him.
Barcia in the lead right now over Brayton, Weimer, Villopoto, and Dungey, meanwhile, the rule was he had to get out on the track before the leader crossed the finish line, and he just made it out. So it's going to be wild here, the way this race is breaking down, with Dungey just trying to come through the pack and just try to score some points. So there is Dungey, and like you said, Jeff, he's got to hope that bike is 100%, because the worst thing that can happen in a motocross race is that bike cuts out on the face of a jump or a situation like that. Even on a rough straightaway, you're in big trouble. Meanwhile, Justin Barcia out front on a very, very sloppy racetrack. There is Justin Brayton in the number 2 position. And there it is, Barcia, Brayton. And this track, completely different than what we saw. You remember the highlights at the top of the show, the first moto? It looks nothing like that track. But Barcia being cheered around by the fans. He is a local favorite, not from Massachusetts, but from upstate New York. He has ridden here a lot. Jeff, you said the first time you ever saw Barcia ride was on this track.
Yeah, and it was a very similar situation. I was out here for a ride day. I jumped out on the track with all of the young kids on the 65s and 85s. And here was this kid, Justin Barcia, ripping around on this 85, and he was incredibly fast. Signed him to a deal at Shift the next day, and so far, I mean, since that day, he has just completely been one of the standouts of the sport.
Okay, so Brayton in second, you saw him. Jake Weimer's third, Villopoto fourth, and Les Smith in fifth. Barcia, unfortunately for him, not a factor for the overall win because his bike broke in moto number 1. So he didn't score any points there. He's pulling away from Brayton at least early. You see the countdown clock at the top of the screen. 25 minutes and 2 laps left in this one. So it's very early into a 30-minute and 2-lap race. But for the moment, at least, Barcia, well, he's in position to win his first ever moto on a 450. And that's pretty good because it's only his second race ever on a 450. So Barcia's lead is 5.4 seconds on Brayton. Weimer third, Villopoto could be looking good for the overall and to make up points in the championship because he is running 4th early. We're trying to figure out where Dungey is. 39th when he came out after the gate drop. So Dungey, I guess at this point, his best hope would be to try to get into the top 20 and just score some sort of points.
Yeah, exactly. You know, and we apologize. We have some technical difficulties here. And
there is Weimer and Villopoto mixing it up. Sorry to interrupt, Jeff. That is a battle for third between the teammates, and the Suzuki behind them is Metcalfe. So a 3-rider duel, 3rd, 4th, 5th. Weimer on the 32. There goes Villopoto, who's already totally covered in mud. And then it's Metcalfe right behind them.
Yeah, but you can see right now with Villopoto running up front, running second now at this point. You know, he surely would have known what was going on, even though he just needs to focus on his own race. What's going on with the Ryan Dungey, before the beginning of this moto.
Oh, I'm sure he does. Meanwhile, it seems like every time we drop the gate in this series, you can count on a battle between the 32 and the 24. They seem to find each other every week. This week, they find each other in a battle for 4th, with Villopoto in 3rd, Brayton 2nd, and Barcia in the lead. It's Metcalfe and Weimer.
And you can see the riders, there's so much moisture on the track. Notice in these turns, Weimer makes a little mistake, and that allows Metcalfe to make the pass.
And another update, Chad Reed, meanwhile, is in 34th with Dungey in 39th. So today, everything has been shaken up. If you're Ryan Villopoto, you just got to try to get that thing to the finish, and you're going to gain huge points today. Reed is a victim of a turn crash, and we already know about Dungey's troubles. Wild day today at Southwick. points here at Southwick in the rain, the mud, the sand. Brett Metcalfe on the 24. Rockstar Makita Suzuki takes the spot away for the Monster Energy Kawasaki of Ryan Villopoto. That is for third place. Metcalfe rides well at this track, but when you see someone overtake your series points leader Villopoto, you tend to think, hey, what's going on? Well, I'll tell you what's going on. Villopoto is riding the race within the race. His championship rivals, Chad Reed and Ryan Dungey, have had horrible luck today. If you're Villopoto, you're probably happy that you're just still running. Here's a replay of the pass, Jeff.
Yeah, watch Metcalfe around the outside, and he was pretty loose. He got the hops, trying to drop down in there and take the inside line. See, Villopoto, at this point, he's being really smart about this. He knows that he doesn't need to get into a personal battle with Metcalfe. He obviously has got the signal that there was problems with Dungey. Reed is already so far back that it is really not a factor in the championship now at this point. So he needs to just have a good, solid top 4, top 5 race and finish this moto. And he could have a pretty substantial points lead by the time he leaves here.
Well, I'll tell you what, if you're Ryan Dungey, you got to thank your teammate here, Metcalfe, for at least taking a few points potentially away from Villopoto, but he's got to keep that bike upright. Obviously very deceiving how slippery this track is in spots.
Yeah, and if you notice in the sections where it gets really wet, that's where it's really starting to rut up. And what I mean by rut is rather than there being a line that's a foot or 18 inches wide of sand, like a fluffy sand turn, when you get where it's really wet, there'll be a rut that is literally only as wide as the rear tire, and the tire cuts in. Now, where it gets even more difficult, Jason, is where you get a wet section where it's just water all the way across, because there's actually ruts zigzagging under that, but you can't see that.
Dumbest Stuff on Wheels coming up. This is Jeff Emmig's favorite new show, I believe. Yeah. Dumbest Stuff on Wheels coming up Wednesday, 8 Pacific, or 8 Eastern and 5 Pacific on Wednesday. Dumbest Stuff on Wheels. It's an all-new episode. It's downright outrageous situations, crashes, mishaps, craziest stuff you've ever seen caught on tape. So don't miss more painful lessons the hard way on an all-new Dumbest Stuff on Wheels.
Yeah, see, and what they do a good job with on that show is they mix it up, between sport bike riders and the kids on skateboards and cars and rednecks and all kinds of cool stuff going on.
I hate to insult these guys, but we might see some highlights from that show in this race. This track is so treacherous. These boys are just trying to do their best to keep the bikes upright and get to the finish. I believe that's got to be Ryan Villopoto's goal right now in 4th. Here is Weimer in 5th. Mike Alessi 6th. Les Smith 7th. Jacob Morris in 8th. Marshall and Dowd rounding out the top 10. Want to apologize for any technical difficulties we have. Of course, we are near the eye of the hurricane, and we're not talking Bob Hanna in motocross terms. It's Hurricane Irene here in the northeast at Southwick, just a few miles north of Hartford, Massachusetts, and obviously the weather is really having an impact on our show today and, of course, on the riders. Here is Alessi on the Red Bull KTM, and then Les Smith, who is the replacement rider for Davi Millsaps, who's out with a knee injury on the Muscle Milk Toyota Yamaha team, will come through next on the 44. So yeah. Smith is happy.
Yeah, he's putting in a great ride. And you see Alessi, look how rutted the track is getting. And what I've noticed is that the bikes are really, the back of the bikes are really moving around left to right, especially when they get in those wet sections. And that's what I was talking about, how you catch those ruts and certain things that maybe it looks like the track is this way, but then as the riders go over it, underneath it's got an edge that completely squirrels you out.
Jacob Morrison here in the number 8 spot, and this track is known for this. Southwick is a type of track that breeds strange things. Not only the bike problems for Dungey, got Robbie Marshall coming through here. You see a lot of privateers, a lot of guys who have ridden laps of this track put in great rides, and that's exactly what's happening. You got Morrison, who's from Wareham, Massachusetts. He's in 7th. You got Marshall, who's from Massachusetts as well. He's in the top 10. So as usual, Southwick, and here's their fave from Chicopee, Mass to 16 at John Dowd. So you're looking at 3 Massachusetts riders in the top 10 right now. Yeah. Dowd is in 10th, Marshall 9th, Morrison 8th.
And you know what's ironic about this situation is these guys have probably raced a local, like NSEC,
yeah,
NESC,
yeah.
race here on a local level, you know, maybe a big money, a purse race.
Shane Sewell just put the move on down, though. I want to give a shout out to the kid from Indiana. But yeah, I know what you're saying. These guys have raced local races, and I'm sure they've raced them in the rain before.
Oh yeah, there's no doubt about it. Maybe even the snow up here, you know, in the wintertime.
If you ever looked at the NESC schedule, it's like 100 events a year. So yeah, these guys have experience. But Sewell doing a great job here. Both the brothers, Shane and Travis Sewell, out here today. And there is Shane getting around Dowd. Now here's what's on the line for Dowd. He's trying to hold on to that national number 16. The rule is he has to score 25 points in this series every year to keep his national career number. He needs to basically finish 10th in the 2 motos today to secure 25 points. He is in 11th right now.
And you know what? I believe on my fantasy league on allysports.com that I have Travis Sewell as part of my fantasy team, and it's Shane here running 11th.
That's what you meant. You meant Shane. You meant Shane. So he's trying to put the pressure on Marshall, who is in 9th, Morrison in 8th. So the local folks who have decided to stick around in the tough weather have got some people to cheer for and some great things to cheer about. Stay with us. Well, a day of drama here at Southwick, and more has unfolded. Here's Chad Reed headed back to the pits with his mechanic Lars. Not sure what has happened there to the 22.
That makes 2 DNFs for Chad Reed. When's the last time he ever had a situation like that? He throughout his whole career as a rider and even the equipment that he's been on, I mean, he's been Mr. Consistent. Very few mechanical problems, very few races where he actually crashed out, even though he did crash out of the overall here a couple years ago, the year that he won the title. So Southwick in general has just not been kind to Chad Reed.
Well, hasn't been kind to anybody. Justin Barcia, who's leading this moto right now, should be in position to win the overall for the afternoon if you count both motos. He was running 3rd in the first moto earlier today, but then he ran into mechanical problems and his bike quit. So instead, he finished out of the points. So this kid is looking at potentially a moto victory, but not an overall. But I'll tell you what, if you're Justin Barcia, you'd be pretty pumped to win a moto anyway.
Yeah, I'm not sure that any rider has won his opening one this early when
on a 450
to the 450.
Well, mid-season, certainly, I would think. You know, Ryan Villopoto went 1-1 in his first 450 race, but that was at the beginning of the year when he had a whole year of testing to get ready. But I'm telling you, it's a lot different for Barcia. He basically just jumped on this bike about 3 weeks ago. And what's interesting, he's subbing for the injured Trey Canard. That is Trey Canard's bike through and through. Barcia has not changed a single thing on it since Trey rode it. Aaron, what do you have on the 17?
Well, guys, when I spoke to Dan Bentley, the engine development guy from Factory Honda, he had said that they found a mechanical failure. They weren't exactly sure what it was, but they believe it was an electrical gremlin is what they had called it. But they temporarily have fixed the problem. They're going to take the bike back to Torrance, and they're going to diagnose it further there.
Wow, an electrical gremlin. You know, it was the bad gremlin. Obviously, you know, there's the nice one, the cuddly one.
Gizmo?
Yeah, Gizmo's the good one. Gizmo didn't show up today.
Obviously, well, okay, I'm not going to comment anymore because that's just showing how old we are. Let's talk about Barcia, who has no idea what movie we're talking about because he is, I think 19 years old, one of the youngest riders in this 450 division, and only jumped up to this bike at our previous race at Unadilla. Has had a rough go of it in the 250 class this summer. So basically out of the championship picture there, Honda needed a rider for their injured 450 crew. It's like a new lease on life for this kid.
Well, and that's, you know, well, let's take a look at the progressive hole shot, and I'll finish my comment because on the 250 this year, Barcia by far had the most hole shots, 7.
Oh, yeah. Yep.
The next closest was another rider with 2. So he's really good off the start, and that's what he's brought to this Honda team, is being able to put this Honda 450 up front off of the start, just like he's done here in this moto, and put him in a position to win.
Yeah, and Chad Reed with a bad start, he ends up going down, and take us through this, Jeff.
Here's your progressive hole shot, and Dungey would have started way to the left on this gate. You see another rider stalled out, and as they funnel in this really tight vortex,
Barcia, by the way, had the bad gate pick.
Barcia was way on the outside because he had a bad pick with the DNF, and then he comes flying around.
And there's Chad Reed in the foreground there. down on the ground. So the one thing we figured is if you had a bad gate pick here, there was no way you'd get a good start. Reed had the bad gate pick because he had a bad first moto. He went down. Dungey didn't even get to the gate, but Barcia did the impossible. Pulled a start from the outside. That's the kind of starts this kid has gotten this year. He has been lightning out of the gate, and he might just carry it all the way to a moto win here on a rainy day at Southwick.
When it's time to get ready to ride.
Let's check in here on Ryan Dungey. He is your defending series champion. He's the man that won our first race earlier today. But this second race has been a complete disaster of no fault of his own, though. They had to change motors between races. They couldn't get the thing going, and the gate dropped, and the race started without him. He finally got the bike going, luckily, before the leader had completed the first lap. You're able to get into the race as long as the leader has not completed lap 1. They got the bike down to the line. Dungey started about, what, 3/4 of a lap after the rest of the field, and he has now worked his way up to 21st place. And that is amazing because if you're into the top 20, you're going to score points. And the way this series has gone, every point's going to count. I know he's going to take a huge hit considering the leader, Villopoto, is in 4th right now, and Dungey's going to lose a lot of points to him, but as Chad Reed always said, you got to be in it to win it, and every point Dungey counts is going to keep him in it.
Yeah, and that's the point here. I mean, the message is to keep trying. Certain things are out of your control. For Ryan Dungey, this bike issue is out of his control, so he needs to do the best that he can do. And it started at such a disadvantage in this moto, and it's going to be so frustrating. You know, I mean, it's just heartbreaking to be out there trying to do this, and he knows the implications of this bad moto. But after this moto is over, we still have 2 more races, 4 more motos, you know, tons of racing. And I mean, in motocross, you just never know. I mean, you go back to the 250 championship last year between Pourcel and Trey Canard. You know, that whole thing went back and forth, and just when you thought that Pourcel had it, he goes down, doesn't even finish either moto. Canard takes the championship, you know, so.
Let's go down to Aaron, who has a report on one of those Massachusetts riders we saw who was running up front earlier today. Aaron?
That's right. The Massachusetts native, Robbie Marshall, is sitting here in the mechanics area being attended to by his mechanics and also the Asterix medical team. He has got so much sand in his eyes from losing his goggles out there. He literally could not see anymore. He was in a lot of pain when he came in. His whole body was tremoring. They are dousing him with water, trying to rinse all the sand out at this moment.
Yeah, and he was running in the top 10. Meanwhile, if you watch the action right now, you're going to think to yourself, Dungey is battling for the lead. Because check this out. Here comes your leader, Barcia, and he's actually closing in on the top 20 lap of those guys, and that would mean he's going to close in on Dungey. Here's your keys to the race, by the way, brought to you by RockyMountainATVMC.com. Jeff, what do you need to do here at Southwick to go fast?
Well, Barcia somehow, with that bad gate pick, managed to get a good start. He certainly is keeping his momentum going, and he's got a great technique right now, right? And keeping clear vision. I mean, we just seen Robbie Marshall having problems, and it's not like a manufacturer thing. I mean, the conditions are so bad and so difficult that if you can be out front like Barcia is right now, you're not going to get as much roost on your goggles because you're not battling with the guy, except for the lap riders. And most of the time, you're going to go past those guys at a pretty good click anyway. And so you keep your goggles clear. And if you can keep your goggles on the whole moto, that's a huge advantage over the rider that has to take his goggles off because the tear-off and the roll-off system fails.
So Barcia continues to lead over Brayton. Great ride for him. He is in 2nd on the Massimo Toyota Yamaha. Metcalfe 3rd. Villopoto trying to ride consistent in 4th. We got a rider down here in a precarious position.
This is right at the finish line.
Yeah. And luckily the rider is off the track, but the rider's got to watch the bike. There is Weimer going by on the in the number 5 spot. Then it's Alessi, Smith. Dowd has climbed up to 8th. Sewell and Chisholm, who's back in action today after some injuries, rounding out the top 10 on one of the wildest days we've seen on a motocross track in quite some time.
A race at Richmond International.
Justin Barcia continues to lead. I don't even know what story we should cover first here. Round 10 of the Lucas Oil AMA Pro Motocross Championship. Justin Barcia is your leader in this moto. But in motocross, you have to be consistent in 2 races in one afternoon to win the overall for the day. The bad news for Barcia, he was running 3rd in our first moto until his bike broke. So he's going to go did not finish and first for his 2 scores today.
Yeah, which is amazing because his gate pick with the DNF in Moto 1 was horrible, but he absolutely hammered the throttle off that Honda, off the start, and was inside of the top 5, which is just amazing gate.
And trouble here for the 800 of Mike Alessi. Jeff, take us through what happened to Alessi, who was running in 6th place.
Oh, Alessi coming down through, you can see the ruts just coming down through here everywhere. And I mean, some of them go back and forth, and they just ate him up. Now, Mike's a pretty good mud rider, so for him to make a big mistake. You also notice that he didn't have his goggles on. That definitely attributed to his lack of vision and lack of judgment there.
So, okay, Barcia might win this second moto, but he had a bad Moto 1, so scratch him from contention for the overall.
So what's the story for the overall?
Let's explain this. Our first Moto winner, Ryan Dungey, couldn't get his bike going in Moto 2. He's coming through traffic now. He's in 13th. So scratch Dungey from a chance to win the overall today with a 1st and a 13th. The man who stands to possibly win the overall right now is Brett Metcalfe, 3rd in Moto 1. He has just made the pass on Justin Brayton to take over 2nd. If he goes 3-2, he should edge Ryan Villopoto, who is looking at a 2nd in Moto 1 and a 4th in this Moto 2. There's Brayton, the 3rd place rider, on the number 10. Brett Metcalfe could be in position to win the overall. And Jeff, you and I talked about it while we were at the break. If anyone deserves to win Southwick under these conditions, it is Brett Metcalfe. This track owes him one big time.
It certainly does. 1 year ago in Moto 1, Brett Metcalfe has the ride of his life going. Has got Dungey handled in Moto 1 and runs out of gas with a 1/4 of a lap to go before the finish. Just a heartbreaking moment for our friend Brett Metcalfe. But he comes back on a track that he really enjoys, says he loves the sand, loves it when it gets rough and nasty like this, and is just putting in a spectacular performance with a 3rd in the first moto, possibly a 2nd here in the second moto, which would give him his first ever AMA overall win, which it's going to be a huge moment. Little less than 3 laps to go. And let's stay tuned to see if he can pull this off.
Yeah, well, it's mixed emotions then for Rockstar Makita Suzuki, because Dungey, a heartbreak for him, not getting that bike going in the second moto as the team worked feverishly. He's going to lose a bunch of points. But on the other hand, Metcalfe, his teammate, might win the race. Let's check out Villopoto here, who is running in 4th, just trying to collect points.
Yeah, you talk about bittersweet for Suzuki.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, they're glad to see Metcalfe win, but they're still not going to be too pumped when this day is over. But Dungey's doing a good job. He's up to 12th. He won't lose too many points, actually, to Villopoto.
Yeah, that's just what I was going to mention is last year we had that situation with Metcalfe and Short who were battling, and they all, when it all went down, he didn't end up losing that many points because of the effort. I'm talking about Short.
Yeah, so Dungey in 12th and looking to make more moves. Trying to figure out, was that Ben LeMay, the 11th place rider? Yes, it was. So Dungey has made another pass. What an effort in the sand, the mud, the rain on a bike that he's probably not sure what was right or what was wrong with it. He has done nothing but just nothing else but just dig down deep. He'll ask questions when the race is over. This is one of the all-time hero efforts to try to score any points at all. And now that he is in 11th, I believe you scored 10 points for that. Villopoto,
correct,
in 4th, I believe you get 18. The Villopoto's only going to make up 8 points on him if it ends like this, and Dungey gained 3 on him in the first moto, so it'll only be a 5-point swing at the end of the day. Way to salvage it for Dungey, and there's still 2 laps to go.
Yeah, but for Dungey, he had just made his way past LeMay, and it's not that far. Chisholm is in 10th, and Shane Sewell is in 9th, and Dowd's in 8th. And all 3 of those riders are fairly close to where Dungey is right now. And you never know if one of those riders might mistake Dungey as being the leader, right? So he comes by, there's...
Good point. Yeah, because Dungey's similar track position, actually, to Barcia, who is your race leader. So, yeah, they might think, well, Dungey's fast guy. Maybe he's leading the race. Maybe I'm going a lap down.
So Chisholm, this is Chisholm right here in front of us, I believe, on the Yamaha.
Dungey trying to get into the top 10 after not even starting this race. The leader had nearly completed an entire lap before they finally got the bike fixed and down to the start. And then Dungey took off. And here he is making the move on Chisholm. And that's going to put Ryan Dungey into the top 10. Are you kidding me?
The effort that he's putting out is, it's just giving me goosebumps right now to see him charging this hard and to still working this hard. and to be this determined and to just not give up in this situation.
And by the way, we go back 2 years ago. There's Les Smith on the 44. He is battling it out with John Dowd. These guys are not too far in front of Dungey with a lap and a half to go. Here comes Dungey challenging Smith now, trying to make up another spot.
Smith dropped back to 9th on that lap, and Dungey, this is going to put this pass will put Dungey into 9th place.
Unbelievable. So Dungey has literally passed 31 riders because everyone had started the race before he did. He has gone through 31 riders, sandblasted all the way. I can't even imagine what he can see at all. He's managed to keep the goggles on the whole time. They've got to be covered. Still probably get a little sand in the eyes.
Hey, Jason, Sewell was only a couple of seconds ahead. There he is. This is Shane Sewell in 8th.
Dungey trying to make a move on
Check it off.
Unbelievable. We go back to our leader, Justin Barcia. This will be his first ever moto win on a 450. It's kind of fitting because he got his first win on a 250 at this track at all, or ever at this track. So this place is very good to him. He's going to think about what might have been as far as the overall if his bike had made it to the finish in the first moto, but it's an equal opportunity event here. Even Ryan Dungey, he can't curse his bad luck at Southwick too bad, because we go back to 2009 when he had a points deficit in the 250 class on Christophe Pourcel, and it was Pourcel who had the bike problems in the sand, and Dungey took advantage of that. So what Southwick giveth, it taketh away, and no one understands that better than Justin Barcia, who had a 3rd place finish in the first race, ripped from his hands due to bad luck, and he responds in Moto 2 and is looking for a victory on the last lap. The people cheering him on, they are the hardest of hardcore motocross fans. We have a hurricane sweeping through here, but they're going to stick around to cheer a local product from upstate New York. Justin Barcia going to make some history here with his first 450 class moto win, and these people are pumped.
A quarter a lap to go for Barcia. That's going to mean about a half a lap to go for Ryan Dungey, who we believe still is in 8th. And the next rider on the list for him would be John Dowd, local boy, local man, father of 2. But when you look at the points, the effort that Dungey has put in, if Dungey finishes 8th and Villopoto in 4th, that's only a 5-point difference towards the championship.
Yeah, and Dungey made up 3 points on him in the first moto. It's almost a wash. Pardon the pun, on a day with a lot of rain and mud.
Dungey up to 7th, actually. Timing and scoring is telling us at this point.
Unbelievable. Meanwhile, let's focus on this. The kid does it. Justin Barcia, we talk quite a bit how he is not intimidated at all by the superstars of the 450 division, and he is going to beat them in a rough, rugged, and muddy Southwick Moto number 2. Through the eye of Hurricane Irene, Justin Barcia wins his first ever 450 moto here at Southwick. We'll talk to a very happy winner when we return. Welcome back to perhaps the wildest day we have ever covered in this event. We'll start it out with the drama in moto number 1. And it was drama for Justin Barcia, who was riding well in 3rd. There's Chad Reed. He goes out with mechanical troubles, running 4th. Barcia, who was running 3rd, he goes out in mechanical troubles as well. There's Reed. You can basically scratch him from championship contention, and then Reed ran into trouble in Moto 2 as well with his bike. Dungey takes the first moto win, so all the luck is shining on the number 1 until they can't get his bike running for the second moto. Apparently they had a problem at the end of Moto 1. They got the bike to the finish, swapped the engine out, but couldn't do it in time. The gate dropped without Dungey. There's Dungey walking around back there. Then Justin Barcia had a terrible gate pick because of the bad finish in Moto 1. Somehow grabs the whole shot. There is Reed on the number 22, down in the first turn. Dungey joins the race late and miraculously starting the race 3/4 of the lap down with rally to finish 7th. Reed, meanwhile, ran into trouble with his bike again, so he finishes neither moto today. Justin Barcia wins the moto. And through all that, Ryan Villopoto extends his points lead, and Brett Metcalfe wins the overall. Can you keep track of all that? We'll try to help you out a little bit with our results here in Moto 2. Barcia the winner, Metcalfe, by virtue of that 2nd place finish, and a 3rd in Moto 1, will win the overall. More on that later. Just focus on that top 10 and notice that Villopoto only finished 3 spots ahead of Dungey when it was all said and done.
And that right there, that ride by Ryan Dungey to work his way up to 7th.
Might have saved the season. Let's go down to Barcia on the podium with Aaron.
Only his second round in the 450 class, and you managed to come out on top. Justin, what did you do, and how did you manage to pull this off in such a short period of time?
Honestly, I have no idea. The first moto was just some bad luck, and I knew I could ride the sand good. This is my favorite place, and I just went out there, far outside, got a great start, charged the whole time, the whole Honda team, the Geico, everyone. They did so great today, and all my mechanics. Thanks a lot.
It was off to a rough start today, but congratulations on having the victory.
Well, who knows? It could have been an overall for Barcia, but his bike ran into trouble in Moto number 1, but pretty much everybody had bike troubles today, so you can't really blame that on the teams or the equipment. Mother Nature dominated this one. All right, we're going to take a break here and try to sort this all out. Villopoto adding a few points to his lead over Dungey. Brett Metcalfe going to celebrate his first ever overall. Crazy stuff here at Southwick. To the Lucas Oil AMA Pro Motocross Championship Rockstar Energy Drink National at Southwick. And poetic justice for Brett Metcalfe, who had a win ripped from his hands last year when his bike ran out of gas. He wins the overall here in 2011. One of the few riders who was able to be consistent on a very rough day today. By virtue of 3-2 scores, he is your overall winner. And Dungey salvages the podium. Hey, let's send it down to Aaron on the podium with Brett Metcalfe.
Not only is his very first overall, but his dad is here for your first race of the season. Brett, not only did you accomplish that overall, but in front of your dad, where does this moment rank? And is this all about redemption coming in from all the heartbreak you've had here?
For my motocross career, this is the highlight, for sure. I mean, it's been eight years here in the U.S. trying to get a win, and this is incredible. You know, after last year's heartbreak, this makes up for it. Just thanks to Rockstar Makita Suzuki, Thor Parts Unlimited, my whole family, my wife, everybody that's helped. And that's just hard work, dedication, motivation. Stay at it, and it happens.
Congratulations on all your hard work paying off today.
What more do you need to say to that for Metcalfe? Meanwhile, we mentioned Dungey salvaging the podium. He came in down by 7 points. He leaves down by 8. You'd almost not even know all the trouble that he went through today because he didn't lose any points. Reed, meanwhile, by not finishing either moto, is way back in the series. Let's send it back down to Aaron.
What a day for Ryan Villopoto. Ryan, you still have that red plate. Chaos was going on around you. What was going through your mind, and is this the point where you can start to smile a bit, or do you know that anything can still happen?
No, I mean, anything can happen. Just, you know, it's a bummer for Ryan. You know, as for myself, I don't want to win it that way, but, you know, it's racing and stuff happens, and definitely I got given a gift today. You know, I was just trying to get through that moto and, you know, try to conserve the bike and make it through to the checkered flag. So we'll go to these last 2 rounds, and for sure I need to be on it. I need to beat him. So you know, we'll see what we can do.
Congratulations on a solid effort. And Ryan Dungey, congratulations on salvaging so many points. Your heart rate must have been through the roof before that moto had even started, and then you had to play catch up. Are you happy with everything and how it turned out, considering?
You know, I really don't know. There's so many mixed emotions right now. It's kind of hard. You know, 1 minute I didn't even think I was going to ride. Thought I was done, going back to the pits. Over the hill he comes, and hop on the bike, and at that point, you know, it's just points and salvaging and limited to damage. You know, it's you know, I don't want anybody to take away from my team. You know, it's teams that it's because we finished in 7th and gained points, and that's the difference of finishing the moto, not even a finishing or starting. And Team Rockstar, Makita Suzuki, all the mechanics, you know, Mike, my mechanic, and. It's, hey, there's 4 races left, and it's not impossible, and I'm just glad we could get out there and pick some guys off and walk away safe.
This championship is far from over, guys.
September 11th, the NFL regular season begins with a Fox NFL Sunday doubleheader. First, the Falcons take on the Bears in Chicago as 2 of the NFC's best go head-to-head. Then it's the Giants taking on their rivals, the Redskins, in Washington, D.C., or other regional action. Coverage begins September 11th, that's Sunday, with the Built Ford Tough Fox NFL pregame show. That's noon Eastern, 9 a.m. Pacific. Check out local listings for the games in your area. Jeff, no games out here. This is the real deal. Ryan Dungey salvages season. Good work praising his team, actually.
Yeah, and that was a big statement by Ryan, and that was a big ride for him to come out and to not give up, not just to you know, walk away. The bike showed up. He put in an incredible effort. Loses 1 point on the day, 8 points behind in the championship. Villopoto plays it clean. But, man.
Hey, speaking of not giving up, how about Brett Metcalfe finally getting his win after nearly a decade of racing here in the U.S.? Big congrats to him. For Aaron Bates, Jeff Emig, I'm Jason Wygant. Thanks for watching a day we'll never forget in AMA Motocross.
With his win at Unadilla, Pro Circuit Kawasaki's Dean Wilson has assumed control of the points lead.
A big turnaround in the series as Dean Wilson comes in with the points lead and extends it by going 1-1 at Unadilla.
While bad starts and bad luck struck his nearest competitors, the likable Scotsman went 1-1, earning his first overall victory since the 2010 season finale. With only 3 rounds remaining in the 2011 season, the 250 class comes to MX 338. Who will conquer the sands of Southwick?
It's round 10 of the Lucas Oil AMA Pro Motocross Championship from MX 338, the Rockstar Energy Drink Southwick National, as Speed's coverage of the 250 class of this tour continues on a very rainy day here in the Northeast. Let's give you the highlights here of Moto number 1. An all-international show in this one. Off the start, it's going to be the number 387 of Gareth Swanepoel. Going to grab the lead here in the Yamaha. Knifes to the inside and leads everyone around. A bunch of other riders down in the very tight first turn here in the sand of Southwick.
Yeah, riders were down everywhere, and you notice the 66 there on the inside, the yellow gear. Jimmy Dakotas, local boy, goes into second place and then over the bars.
Ouch, and that would knock Dakotas out of this moto. This is Dean Wilson, your series points leader, going after the 245 of Lance Vincent, who was up front early. This will put Wilson up in the number 3 spot behind his teammate Tyler Rattray, who was second, and Swanepoel, who continued to hold the lead. A crash for Kyle Cunningham, one of the top riders in this series. Been very consistent as of late, but a tough race for him. Here we go, Rattray in second, going to go to first, challenging his fellow South African Swanepoel, and takes the lead.
Puts the charge on, and for a moment, it looked like Rattray was going to take this all the way to the checkered flag. Then he stalls the engine. The bike is coasting, and he finally gets it going. But Swanepoel comes around the outside to put the Yamaha into first place.
And you see Wilson right there as well. So we had 3 riders battling for the lead late in this moto. But from there on out, Swanepoel pulled away. The Cali boys this time couldn't do anything with him, and he wins his first ever moto in the U.S. And this guy is well respected. Even Wilson, who finished third in that moto, congratulates Swanee on taking the win. That's his first win ever in the U.S. That's his team's first win ever in AMA Motocross. So congratulations to him. Hello, everyone, and welcome to the show. Jason Wygant, of course, joined by 4-time AMA National Champion Jeff Emig for what has been a wild day so far at Southwick. Let's give you the big picture storylines we'll be following throughout today's race. Well, first, we already highlighted one of them. Gareth Swanepoel taking the Moto 1 win. Can he back it up and win the overall? You got to be consistent through 2 races in one afternoon to be the afternoon's overall winner in this series. Swanepoel putting himself in position to do that. Meanwhile, Dean Wilson is your series points leader. He won at Unadilla at our last race 2 weeks ago. Can he back that up? Third in the first moto, a solid run in Moto 2. He might just have 2 straight overall wins and further extend that points lead. Tyler Rattray wants to stop that from happening. He needs to close back in on Wilson. As for Blake Baggett, another tough finish in Moto 1 for him. He is losing points much like Rattray very quickly, so it is not going to be easy for anyone to track down Wilson. However, if there is a race and there is a track that could potentially stall the championship momentum for Dean Wilson, it is this track at Southwick, which has already handed out a whole bunch of heartbreak in our previous motos so far today. So Wilson, there are no guarantees for him.
Yeah, but Wilson, he was a self-proclaimed bad sand rider, all that, doesn't like the sand, turned in a great performance, a championship-type performance the first moto. But I tell you, Mother Nature stepped in. It stopped raining for the moment, but you can see that there's quite a bit of water on the track, and if it starts to rain again, it's going to get really sloppy again.
All right, let's welcome the 3rd member of our show onto the show with a progressive pre-race report. It's Aaron Bates.
It's been nothing but tough luck for Brock Tickle so far this season, and he said coming in after a disappointing weekend in Unadilla that he considers this a 3-race series. These final 3 rounds are where he needs to make it count. He mentioned that to Mitch Payton, and Mitch said that's the team manager of Pro Circuit Kawasaki. A great plan, but what happened to the 12-round plan? So they're kind of joking about it, but they also understand there's been a lot of unfortunate incidents and circumstances that have taken place, but he just got a 5th place result in that first moto, and he wants to finish this day off strong.
Yeah, and that 5th place, it wasn't like he got the whole shot and faded to 5th. He started around 20th and worked his way all the way past Baggett and through all the other riders up to 5th. So today, Tickle is on the gas, and he has found some sort of drive here at Southwick.
And on this rough track, a 5th in Moto 1, you bet up a Moto 2 in the overall.
One moto is in the books from Southwick. 40 hopefuls head to the gate to do it all over again. Jason, Jeff, and Aaron are ready for 30 minutes plus 2 laps of racing from the toughest track in motocross when the Lucas Oil AMA Pro Motocross Championship returns to Massachusetts.
Welcome back to the Lucas Oil AMA Pro Motocross Championship coverage here on Speed. Let's give you the 411 and show you how these races break down. We've been talking quite a bit about Moto 1 and Moto 2. That's because each weekend in this series we race twice. Each race lasts 30 minutes and 2 laps, and then we total up the scores from both races to determine an overall winner. In case we have a tie between those 2 motos, the better scorer in Moto 2 breaks that tie. So that's the format. Let's give you the 8 of the track. Brought to you by Kawasaki and the 2012 KX450F, fully equipped and race ready. Give us a ride here, Jeff.
Well, I can tell you, when this track is dry, it's sandy and fluffy, and it's got these big sand berms. But today, quite a bit of moisture. Track is extremely rutted. It's really choppy. There's water holes in certain spots. A couple of dry lines. Might be a little bit one-lined here at the beginning of this moto. But with the guys making some passes, it should open up. And as long as the skies don't open up, I think we'll be all right. But if we get more moisture than what we have now, it's going to be really nasty by the end of this moto.
All right, that's the graphical perspective. Let's show you what it looks like on the motorcycle, courtesy of GoPro. Jeff?
Kyle Cunningham, DNA Shred Sticks Yamaha, found himself taking a little sand sample twice in Moto 1, so his objective is going to be to keep it on 2 wheels here for Moto 2. But you can see this is really what it looks like unless you pull a tear off or you pull the roll off. And see how much the water distorts your vision.
Let's give you the Rocky Mountain ATVMC.com keys to the race. What do you need to do to go fast at Southwick, well, Mr. 4-time champ?
I'm going to scratch this off and say great start.
Okay.
Let's see who can get it.
Oh, one of the riders from the outside tried to make it happen and nearly pulled it off. It's one of the Geico Honda men. Not going to happen. It's the 46 of Amart, Alex Martin on the 1110 mods. Honda has got the whole shot. He's got Rattray and Dakotas. And Dakotas in the 66 takes the line from Rattray, then loses the spot right back.
Loses 2 spots as Dean Wilson is second. How about Alex Martin put in some strong rides? He was 10th in Moto 1, grabs the whole shot here in Moto 2.
Yeah, he has really come on strong the last 3 or 4 races. That is the 19 of Tomac, your fastest qualifier down.
Baggett or no, it's Tickle. After a 5th in Moto 1, Tickle is down off the start with Seeley and Tomac and I believe a Yamaha rider there.
That might be one of the Star Racing Yamaha riders. That was Seeley down in the Lucas Oil Troy Lee Honda. Bad luck there for Tomac, your fastest qualifier. Said the only thing that's missing, actually both Tickle and Tomac told me today, their whole problem all season long has just been starts. They're even worse than ever now.
Well, just a few moments ago, we saw Ryan Dungey on the 450 put in an incredible ride after not even making it to the gate. So a great effort. Tickle is fast enough to get inside the top 10. So is Tomac if they can regroup.
How about this? Alex Martin from Millville, Minnesota. Yes, the same Millville, Minnesota that hosted a round of this series a few weeks ago, and he rode well there. And of course, everyone starts to speculate, it's a home track advantage, his parents own the place. But he has backed up those results the last couple of weeks in Washington, then in upstate New York, and here he is, top 10 in Moto 1 at Southwick and leading here in Moto 2.
Well, and the soil is very similar at Millville to here. A little bit more hard pack, but there is some sand sections and the creek sections with the sand whoops. Of course, it rains quite a bit up there. They get a lot of moisture, so this type of terrain and the conditions here today, not going to be so foreign for Alex Martin. What is foreign is for him to be running up front in an AMA motocross event. He really has no experience being up front like this, but what a great moment for the 46.
What a lead he's opened up. 3.5 seconds on the first lap. And that's over Rattray and Wilson. two of your front runners in the series. So Martin is on the gas right now.
And
Swanepoel is fifth behind Dakotas.
Yeah, and this is going to be a great battle for the overall here today, because Rattray was second behind Swanepoel, and then Wilson was third. And all three of those riders are inside of the top 5 at the moment.
Good to see Dakotas able to salvage something here after crashing out early in Moto 1. Here he is up front in Moto 2. He is, of course, a home boy because Peabody, Massachusetts is home for him. Grew up at this track. A lot of people cheering him. There is Swanepoel in position right now, top 5. So he's got an opportunity to go out and win this moto as well.
And Jason, I believe I found out who that Yamaha rider was, the Star Racing Yamaha rider that was possibly down with Tickle and Tomac. Audet, who was 4th in the first moto, a career best, now sits way back in 33rd.
And then here is 6th, Ryan Morris. Yes, Ryan Morris back in action. Had to get hip surgery after Supercross, only returned to racing at her last event at Unadilla. And behind him, Ryan Sipes. Yes, Ryan Sipes, who we lost for a few weeks with an illness. Turned out he had a low blood sugar, changed his diet, took a month off to rest, now back in action. And here is Justin Bogle right behind him, the new kid on the block. That's NKOTB, if you're cool.
And if you're not cool.
Yeah, sorry about that. I just really hurt myself there.
Bogle was 18th the first moto, and just had a spectacular first race of his career a couple weeks ago at Unadilla, but now he's getting a real taste of what the professional ranks is all about. And I remember when I moved up, you realize that in the amateur ranks, maybe racing a couple of kids that have some talent and some speed. But at this level, there's veterans in this class that are trying to earn money to pay the mortgage, buy baby shoes, you know, whatever.
He's going by Sipes, making the move. So a lot better for Bogle this time than that 18th in Moto 1, like you mentioned. Here he is. That should move him up to 7th. And behind them, the KTM of Marvin Musquian, who we have not talked about much this year, but there he is, making the move on Sipes as well. Just trust us that that's Marvin. I know the bikes are completely covered at this point. The numbers, the colors, virtually unrecognizable. But we have X-ray vision. Just take our word for it. That is Musquian, who is certainly no stranger to riding in the mud and in the sand after all his years riding in Europe. So we'll see what Marvin can do with a good start today at Southwick. Meanwhile, Alex Martin leading and pulling away. September 11th, the NFL regular season begins with a Fox NFL Sunday doubleheader. First, the Falcons take on the Bears in Chicago as two of the NFC's best go head-to-head. Then the Giants take on the Redskins. That's another rivalry in Washington, D.C., or catch other regional action. That's right, coverage begins Sunday, September 11th with the Built Ford Tough Fox NFL pregame show, noon Eastern, 9 a.m. Pacific. Dean Wilson here in the number 3 spot. Tyler Rattray second, and Alex Martin leading the way. Jimmy Dakota's 4th. Gareth Swanepoel 5th. How about this kid, Alex Martin? So far, so good. The bad news for him, countdown clock, top of the screen. 23 minutes and 2 laps left in this moto. That is going to feel like an eternity to AMA.
Yeah, and Alex Martin, last time around, was at a 2:15.1. He was a little bit quicker than Rattray, about a half a second. But this time around, it's not going to be the case because they come by. Martin's a 2:17.4, Rattray at 2:13, so quite a bit faster.
And Rattray now looking to make moves, looking to go to the lead. It's the man that won the overall at this race last year, wants to make it 2 in a row. He finished second in our first moto earlier today. He is second now. He's trying to get around Martin. And there he goes to the inside. No, Martin gonna hold it off. And we've mentioned this all year with Martin's team, this 11-10 mod squad. Full privateer effort there on a shoestring budget. He just lost the lead, though, to Rattray. Still a solid effort for the 46. But Rattray so experienced, so strong, and so confident in these conditions.
And he is so fast. He was at 2:13.8. The next fastest lap was a 2:16 by Bogle. Everyone else is a 2:17 or higher. So basically, 3 to 4 seconds a lap faster than anybody else on the track.
Wilson getting bucked around there on what is a very rough track. He is in 3rd, doing what he does, staying consistent and scoring solid championship points. That's why he's got the red plate on the bike. He is your series leader. Dakotas is 4th. Swanepoel 5th. So Swanepoel, if he wants to win the overall, the race beginning to slip away from him as far as that is concerned now that Rattray has taken over the lead. And Bogle is 6th.
Yeah, but I tell you, just behind Wilson here is James Dakotas, who we saw in that highlight of the first moto, had that really bad get-off when he went over the bars about a quarter of the way through the first lap. Now, here he is, Jimmy Dakotas running 4th here at his home race.
Well, a lot of people forget about Dakotas. Last year was his rookie pro season, and then he missed the first 8 races this year with an injury, so he's pretty new to the scene as well. Here comes Swanepoel, your first moto winner. He is in 5th. Solid performance.
Yeah, and Swanepoel is going to have some company because Justin Bogle.
Swanepoel goes down. So Bogle going to move into the top 5 again.
Bogle is flying, Rattray is flying. Basically, everyone else inside the top 6 or 7 is at about a 217.
And Jason Anderson temporarily made the pass on the 156, but then Swanepoel got him back. Signs of life here the last few weeks from Anderson, who has had a very rough rookie campaign. Starting to turn it around here with some top 10 at least speed. It's a tough time finishing the races. Here he is going to work on Swanepoel around the outside.
And 1 lap ago, here we go.
Not going to back off either one of them.
1 lap ago, Anderson is 10th. Comes across the stripe in 8th, almost 7th. So Anderson almost picking up 4 spots in 1 lap. Jason Anderson is totally on the gas.
And he's got one of his teammates right with him. That's the 71 of Morris on that Rockstar Suzuki. Anderson was your AMA Horizon Award winner. That's the award the AMA gives out at the end of the amateur season to the rider they believe has the most promise as a pro. Bogle's the one that got that award this year, has already made an impact. Anderson still waiting for his moment. Getting better here as he goes after Swanepoel. And Swanepoel had a crash, got back up. How difficult is that to do in the rain, the mud, the sand? Is the bike slippery? Your hands get mud on them? What happens there?
Yeah, a little bit of all that, but the main thing is what's happening inside of his head right now is that, you know, the gremlins start to creep in and negative thoughts, and he's got to keep focused right now, keep trying to work his way forward, try to get his first overall. He's got the first moto win, but you know, those negative thoughts just creep their way in there, and the best guys have the ability to limit that, to fight off those negative thoughts.
Well, to give you an idea for Anderson, who is having such a tough summer, his team actually sent him home and said, go home and train for a month. You said it many times, you can't gain fitness in 5 days. If you go hard during the week between races, you're only going to make things worse. You'll be tired for the race. So they sent him home, put a good baseline training program in, and he has been stronger ever since. Get those negative thoughts out of there. Here is the 71 of Morris, who unfortunately has missed a lot of outdoor races the last couple of years with injuries. So good to see him back in the top 10. Ryan Sipes will round out the top 10. Dr. Seuss National Memorial Sculpture Garden not far from us here at Southwick. Of course, this is when we had better weather yesterday. Real nice part of the country to come visit. Hopefully we'll have better weather on race day next year and you can come visit us. Speed's coverage of the Lucas Oil AMA Pro Motocross Championship is brought to you by Progressive Insurance, #1 in motorcycle insurance, and by Rockstar Energy Drink. Rockstar Energy Drink supports the active Rockstar lifestyle and is now available in 18 amazing flavors in 19 countries worldwide. Here's your leader, Tyler Rattray, beginning to pull away just a bit here in this second moto at Southwick, Massachusetts. Rockstar Energy Drink Motocross National, already the roughest track of the year because it's covered in sand, has gotten even tougher because Hurricane Irene has begun to become a factor in motocross. I don't know which rider she's a fan of, but she seems to be helping Tyler Rattray because the rougher the track conditions, the better it is for this guy as he is marching away from the field. We're about halfway through this one.
Well, I tell you, Rattray won his first moto here a couple of years ago, won his first overall here last year. And I know as a rider, I always look forward to coming back to those tracks where you had won out and you get the good vibrations going. But let's take a look at some replays.
Jimmy Dakotas, who is running and challenging for a podium, goes down, lost a few spots. That's a 71 of Morris right with him. So now he is in 8th after running in 4th. So that'll bump Bogle up to the #4 position as Rattray continues to lead. His lead is 5 seconds over Alex Martin. So that's still an impressive run for Martin, who's in second. I mean, to beat Rattray on this track is a tall order. For Martin, you put the privateer bike up on the podium doing something right.
Yeah, he certainly is, and he's about 5 seconds ahead of Wilson right now, who's in third. Bogle's moved up to fourth. Swanepoel's still in fifth.
And a lot of credit for that 11-10 mods privateer Honda team has gone to Darren Durham, who is running in 12th right now, but Martin might better Durham's best finish of the year. Meanwhile, Aaron has a very unhappy, I'm sure, Ryan Sipes down in the pits. Aaron?
That's right, you guys. Blood sugar levels are not Ryan Sipes' only problem at this time. Ryan, can you take us through what went on out there and why you're in the pit right now?
I don't know, something's messing my stomach about the puke.
It could be the possibility that everybody down here is eating facefuls of sand. He's not the only guy that we've seen throw up today, so I think we're going to give him a moment.
Well, it's a bad position to be in right there because it's so physically demanding, you know, and obviously he's got something going on, you know, with his health that they do not have figured out. He's missed some races this year because of it.
Yeah, it could just be face full of sand, though, like Aaron was saying. I'm going to get off that shot just in case he actually, you know, does.
Back to something here
put some sand back on the track.
Yeah,
This is what he's looking to do.
Well, Rattray, man, was so close to winning Moto 1, but he's going to back it up here if he can finish off 13 minutes plus 2 laps. But you can see he's riding the track effortlessly. He is doing everything right. And riders, when they come here to Southwick, everybody talks about flow. Now, what is flow? That's when you're hitting your lines, when you're not using a lot of energy, you're keeping your momentum up. Alex Martin is doing the same thing. This could be his best career moto finish.
Yeah.
If he can stay in second place.
And what's impressive, I mentioned before that Darren Durham has really been the star for that team, but the best finish Durham has had this year is a 4th. So Durham could be the one, or sorry, Martin could be the one to deliver that bike to the podium, but a long way to go. You got Dean Wilson in 3rd, and this has been Wilson's MO this year. He has just been solid moto after moto. He has only finished off the podium in 2 motos this year. And in contrast, did a little research, the Racer X bench race ammo last year, champion of the 250 class Trey Canard missed the podium in 10 out of 24 motos. This year so far, Wilson has only missed the podium twice. He is like all-time level consistency right now.
Yeah, he's coming into this event, he had 7 moto wins and only 1 overall. But he did have an average moto finish of 2.28,
wow,
which is pretty good. And the next best was Baggett with a 3.3, but Baggett's had 2 bad motos here today.
Let's talk about this kid, Bogle, backing it up. Tough performance in Moto 1, but it is no fluke, apparently, his speed as he is strong here 4th in Moto 2. Aaron, what do you hear on the 891?
I asked him this morning what it was like to get the nerves shaken off of making his pro debut at Unadilla, and he said he doesn't feel like a lost little kid looking for his mom today. He says he knows where he needs to go, he knows where he needs to be, he knows what's happening, and on race day it's important to know when to eat and when to drink, but the biggest thing is trying to stay calm, stay focused on an upset stomach and get through all the nervousness. He said this weekend he is able to focus a lot easier than he was at Unadilla.
Wow, that's interesting, you know, him mentioning knowing when to eat and when to drink. And I know that midway through my career, I figured out what worked best for me, okay? And it took a while.
It was not eating, wasn't it? It was not eating.
Actually, I did not like to eat. I had everything blended, everything liquid after I eat breakfast. So I'm telling you, I got the magic recipe.
You know, Bogle's got an experienced hand helping him, though. Robbie Rayner, fellow Oklahomans, here helping out Bogle today and pushing him into the top 5. We'll be right back. Speed's coverage of the Lucas Oil AMA Pro Motocross Championship is brought to you by Kawasaki and the 2012 KX450F. Fully equipped and race ready. Battle is on here for the number 2 spot. Alex Martin on the red bike and the green of Dean Wilson are swapping right now. Wilson has closed the gap on Martin, but I'll tell you what, Alex Martin's 2nd, 3rd, probably doesn't matter. It'd be his first career podium, the first podium finish ever for his team. Just try to keep that thing going. Don't get caught up too much in this battle with Wilson.
Yeah, he's putting in a fine ride, but let's take a look at Dean Wilson's bike here. There's a little bit of steam coming off of that bike.
Wait a minute.
And that is not, to me, it does not look like a situation where he went through a water hole and it hit the exhaust pipe. That is specifically coming out of the one of the overflow tubes, either out of the engine or off of the radiator. That could be a problem as this moto continues.
Wow, and we have seen riders, especially on this Monster Pro Circuit Kawasaki team, have mechanical problems at this track. Explain how the sand, especially when it's muddy, puts more of a strain on the engine.
Well, it puts a huge load on the engine, and so the engine has to work so much harder. So it's harder on the engine, you know, when you're setting the bike up and you're trying to get the maximum horsepower out of it. So it's harder on the piston and the valves and all that stuff. It's also tough on the clutches because you're slipping the clutches, and it's really the clutches are having a hard time staying together.
Oh boy, Aaron, you hearing anything on the Pro Circuit team with Wilson right now?
Not at the moment am I hearing anything, but this morning I was informed that they are running bigger radiators and bigger gas tanks because this track is so deep. It means they're trying to keep the bike cool. They're always on the gas. It's always running hot, so we could see an effect from that. But right now, Mitch Payton and the rest of the team are looking on, trying to figure out exactly what's taking place.
Yeah, they're trying to take precautions. So far, so good, though, for Wilson, who's actually just passed Martin to take over second, but the steam is beginning to build.
Yeah, that's definitely overflow out of the radiator. Like she mentioned, they put extra large radiators for more volume of coolant, trying to keep the engine clean because it heats up, because it's constantly, you're on the throttle, okay? So the engine's going to naturally heat up more. Now, with the sand and the mud and the conditions, sand gets in the radiator louvers, okay, so it doesn't flow as much air through the radiator, so it doesn't cool the coolant as properly as it should. So 6 minutes plus 2 laps for your points leader.
Let's give you the progressive whole shot replay, Jeff. Take us through the start.
Wow. Look all the way to the left. There's riders that are just getting cut off instantly, but it's a couple of Kawasaki riders. As it looks like Wilson looks like he's going to be able to get on the brakes, and then Rattray sneaks by on the inside. Martin, Geico Honda rider there on the outside, and the rest of the guys.
Yeah, Martin able to control and really use turn 2 to establish himself in the lead. Has now dropped back to third, but for how long? How long can Dean Wilson's bike in second continue to run? Now, the man closest to Wilson in the point standings was Blake Baggett coming into this one, but Baggett finished 9th in Moto 1, and he is in 9th here in Moto 2. So even if Wilson were to not even finish this thing, he could still maintain the lead, but you do not want to give up chunks of points like this. You'd score 22 points if you finish second. There's a mechanic, Paul Parabinos, got to be concerned right now. Now, Jeff, what would happen? Would we actually stop seeing steam come out if all the cooling water is gone? Would we stop seeing steam first? Is that a bad sign?
Yeah, when we don't see any of that white steam coming out the bottom of this Kawasaki right here, that's going to be a bad sign. But, I mean, I have been really surprised at how long these 4-stroke engines can run without coolant in those overheating situations, as opposed to a 2-stroke, which will seize pretty quickly when it doesn't have the coolant. But, of course, we haven't ran the 2-strokes in a number of years.
Yeah, so we flash back to 2009 when Christophe Pourcel had a similar situation to his bike. Aaron, what do you got?
We just watched Paul Parabinos, Dean Wilson's mechanic, hold out the pitboard sign saying save bike to inform him that the bike isn't running correctly, because at this point they don't know if Dean is aware or not. This isn't the first time that Pro Circuit has run into complications or mechanicals here, so they're trying to keep their eye on it.
That is a great point.
Yeah, he just looked down.
But you don't see that necessarily, huh?
Yeah, but I just don't see how there's just certain... you know, okay, going up this hill right here, you have to get on the throttle. Okay, so maybe you're going to coast a little bit here. Now, maybe you're not maxing it out and you're not over-revving it, but let's take a look right here, this replay. Now, watch him look down right now. He's going to look down to see if he can see some steam or some smoke to try to understand the message that his mechanic, Paul, put on the pit board. So,
probably just saw nothing but the top of the seat in his gas tank. So he might not know.
And right now he's not seeing any steam either, Jason.
Uh-oh, which is a bad sign, right? Is that what established?
In my book.
Okay.
Yep. I would say that that'll not be good. So we're at 3.5 minutes plus 2 laps. The real sign is going to be if the bike starts to slow down, and you'll know it instantly because he'll start looking down and looking around, and there's just nothing he can do except hope for the best and try to ride the bike as gingerly as possible to the finish. But there's, you know, certain sections right here you have to get on the throttle, you know.
And Martin is still running in third. Bogle fourth. Swanepoel in fifth. And Baggett still in ninth. There's your championship points right now. You see Wilson has a huge lead. Rattray overcoming Baggett by virtue of a good first moto and by running strong right now. So Baggett an off day at the worst time. If Baggett was merely on the podium in these motos, he could have been right back in this championship hunt if Wilson has trouble, but that's not the case. Baggett not able to rally. He's still in ninth.
Yeah, but let me play the devil's advocate here. If Wilson's bike does not finish and Rattray wins this, 25-point swing, depending on where Wilson finishes, because it could be inside the top 20 with this great ride. Take your championship points lead down to 13, and all of a sudden, all three riders are back in it.
Yeah, you're right, because basically it would be a do-over, because at our last race, Wilson won the second moto, Rattray crashed out, Wilson made up all the points on him. If Wilson doesn't finish this one and Rattray wins, we'll be right back where we were before Unadilla. But a lot of speculating here, because you see the countdown clock. Maybe time is now on Wilson's side. 2 minutes and 2 laps to go in this race. Can Wilson's bike get him to the finish on a racetrack that has broken a lot of equipment over the years? We'll find out soon enough. And Rattray, well done in the lead to try to maximize his championship position and score as many points as possible. You see the team at the side of the track saying, use your head and back it down. And the 1110 Mods folks cheering on Alex Martin in third. They've got to be happy with this. They don't care if second or third. They just want to be on the box. And by the way, yes, these Traxxas trucks are waterproof. You can run them rain or shine. Good times here in the mud. We'll be right back. Wednesday night, the car show with Adam Carolla is all new as Adam takes a wild and painful ride at the Red Bull Soapbox Derby in downtown LA. So don't miss the car show Wednesday nights at 10 Eastern only on Speed, the Motorsports Authority. Here is Blake Baggett, who has slowly but surely climbed through the field. Based on his standards, 7th place. That's not great, but he has a chance to maybe make up some points if Dean Wilson's bike doesn't get to the finish. So far, Wilson's bike is still running. We presume there might be some mechanical troubles. So here's Baggett in 7th.
Yeah, and that standard that he set earlier this year with 8 moto wins, 5 overalls, more than anyone else. Okay, of those 5 overalls, 3 times he swept both motos.
And usually through the pack, too.
Yeah. I mean, absolutely blowing away the competition.
Right.
And then he would have an off weekend, and then he'd come back and do it again. And he backed it up 2 weekends in a row. But since then, he's been really inconsistent. And I'm not saying that Blake hasn't put out a great effort, because I'm sure that he is doing his very best, and he's working as hard as he can work and doing everything. But the end result here has just not been, I'm sure, what he expected, not what we expected after those moto sweeps. So,
yeah, every time we thought he had it figured out consistently, then he went backwards. And we haven't talked about this guy enough. Your leader, Tyler Rattray, he has been drama-free here at Southwick. Well, no problem with the bike, no problem with the starts, the finishes, nothing, folks. He's got a big lead on with 2 laps to go, and he won this race also last year, so he knows what to do once he's out front.
Yeah, and I wish that all of our viewers could have been at Unadilla after the race. I was visiting with Chad Reed and the whole TwoTwo Motorsports team, and I looked across to the pro circuit rig. They're breaking everything down, the tents down, the bikes are in. And here was Tyler Rattray, who suffered a pretty bad crash in Moto 2. Obviously got a concussion. He was sitting in a chair with his head down. And I was trying to, put myself in his position. What is he thinking? What is he feeling right now? The disappointment, knowing that crash could have put him out of this championship. And also with the concussion, you're not really sure how you're going to respond after that. Sometimes you're all right. Sometimes you're just not really, jiving, and everything's not there. But what a recovery here for the South African Tyler Rattray. I mean, this is his place. So, yeah. I mean,
the sandbox.
The sandbox. He likes to play.
And still well done for his countryman from South Africa, Gareth Swanepoel, who won the first moto, 5th here. Rattray was 2nd in Moto 1 and is leading this one. The 2-1 score will make it an easy overall victory for him. And great memories at this track. Remember a year ago, Rattray and his wife gave birth to a baby girl, Brooke, and Tyler said, it's my job to race I'm going to have to miss the birth of my first child to come race. And he won the race. And he's going to come back here and do it again. There is Ryan Morris down and out, and Morris was in the top 10. And, man, there's nothing worse than fighting at Southwick through the sand, through the mud, and then in a lap to go. He put in all the effort. Yep. He's not going to get the result. Great effort, but your running order is on the top of the screen. And Wilson right now in second. He was third the first moto. Gannon Audette, who had that great ride of fourth the first moto, he's up to 17th. And then Tickle, who was fifth the first moto, has worked his way up to 13th after crashing in the first turn. Yeah, Audette and Tickle working their way forward. There is Wilson. The bike's still running on the last lap, and we have seen heartbreak on the last lap at this track, but it's beginning to look more and more like Wilson may just hold on, and the championship drama, well, it may just be what might have been for Rattray and Baggett. Wilson may not let them back into this championship fight after all. Yeah, well, Mitch Payton and Pro Circuit have certainly had some disappointing DNFs here, but I'm telling you, this bike makes if Wilson makes it to the finish, it's going to make up for all that disappointment. Martin trying to hang on to a podium on his privateer machine, but he's got the factory back Geico Honda of Justin Bogle right behind him, and Bogle wants his first career podium in a moto. So Bogle's not going to make it easy on him. It is a wheel-to-wheel duel for the final spot on the stage on the last lap. The roughest race of the year, the worst weather. A little mistake by Bogle allows Martin to get away. Remember, Moto 1, Martin was 10th and Bogle was way back in 18th. Definitely not what we expected from him or what he would have expected from himself. So Bogle hammering the throttle. Could he have got in shape for the 35-minute motos all in 1 week or 2 weeks? Right? Shows what you guys know. You always say you can't do that. Apparently, he got in shape between the motos. Yeah. Go from 18th to 4th and maybe 3rd. Here's Rattray putting the finishing touches on a win that will not look pretty. It was rough. It was muddy. It was sloppy. But he made it look the best out of anyone in the worst conditions. And if it were not for that one crash at Unadilla where he lost a whole bunch of points, he'd be right there in the championship hunt. And I'll tell you what, that's not what we expect from Rattray. We expect this. Solid performances. And Tyler Rattray wins the overall here at Southwick for the second year in a row. You said it, Jeff Hemming. This is his place. Man, he owns Southwick. What a ride. That was just pure determination here by the South African. Yeah, bouncing back from a wicked crash and a concussion just 2 weeks ago. This guy is tough. We'll talk to him on the podium when we return. Welcome back. On the right side of the screen, you see Tyler Rattray, who has won here at Southwick, Massachusetts, the Rockstar Energy Drink National, round 10 of the Lucas Oil AMA Pro Motocross Championship. Let's show you how Rattray won it with your Lucas Oil race recap. Alex Martin had your early lead. Great run by the independently funded privateer Honda rider, but Tyler Rattray just too strong on a track he's just too darn comfortable on. Takes the win. And the Moto 1 winner, Gareth Swanepoel, just before he could put in a charge, goes down, lost a little bit of time there. There's Justin Bogle, who got by him. That allows Bogle to take 4th, Swanepoel in 5th. See the steam coming out of Dean Wilson's machine here, the number 15. We thought that maybe that engine was going to overheat and Wilson wasn't going to get to the finish, but it held on, and so did he. He finishes 2nd, with Rattray taking the win, and Martin holds on for 3rd over Bogle and Swanepoel. So a bunch of happy guys there. Wilson holds on to his points. Podium for Martin and a win for Rattray. Let's send it down to Aaron.
The 4th overall win of the season for Tyler Rattray, which makes it back-to-back wins here at Southwick. Something almost unheard of, Tyler. Any changes that you guys made in between motos to come out even stronger for that last moto of the day?
Oh yeah, Bones definitely. We went in the right direction. I felt really good that moto, riding good, and just can't thank the guys from Monster Kawasaki, Parts Unlimited, Thor, Van, Volcom, Traxxas, my buddy Mark from Knock 'em Out, and Sequan Casino let me ride the sand track down there and getting ready for Southwick. So just really pumped, you know. Got to thank my wife, and happy birthday to my baby girl and everyone on the team, my mom, my stepdad Wayne, my dad, just everyone. Thank you.
Congratulations on a job well done today.
All right, we'll show you the upcoming schedule here as Toyota helps us move forward. Only 2 races left in 2011. First, Delmont, Pennsylvania next weekend outside of Pittsburgh. And then live, we'll have all the final motos of the year from Pala, California on speed on September the 10th. So 2 weekends, 2 races. That's it for the 2011 series. Who will win the title? Gonna have to keep with us through the finale. Meanwhile, today, no doubt about it, it was Tyler Rattray's.
10 down, 2 to go. The 250 crown is up for grabs as the series heads back to Pennsylvania for Speed's same-day coverage of round 11 of the Lucas Oil AMA Pro Motocross Championship. Next Saturday, join Jason, Jeff, and Aaron for both 450 and 250 coverage from the Steel City MX.
Speed's coverage of the Lucas Oil AMA Pro Motocross Championship is brought to you by Lucas Oil, made in America, sold to the world. And by the 2011 Toyota Tundra, one of the most capable half-tons ever. Here are your top 10 results from the second moto today on a very rainy, a very muddy, a very rough race in Southwick, Massachusetts. Check it out here. Tyler Rattray is going to take the victory. Dean Wilson, despite some apparent engine problems, hangs on for second. Alex Martin, solid run for third. Let's send it back down to the podium with Aaron.
Mayhem was going on, and Dean Wilson wasn't even aware of it at the time. But Dean, your bike started to smoke. Your whole team was watching. At what point did you realize what was going on, and how did you salvage it?
Once I got around Alex, I think it was maybe like halfway mark, they kept writing on the pit board, save the bike, don't rev it. And I'm like panicking. I'm like, I didn't even want to look if it was smoking. You know, I just wanted to focus on the track because the track wasn't the easiest one out there. So about halfway mark, you know, they kept telling me to be calm and don't rev the bike. And so I was like, oh man, I don't want to blow up or nothing, like, you know, how Christophe ended his championship. So, you know, I just milked it pretty much the whole way, and then still salvaged the second, and just really happy, and like to thank everybody, Monster Kawasaki, Thor, Dunlop, Parts Unlimited, Scott Bands, my mom and dad watching at home, Toyota Escondido, Sam that came with me, but he was a big help. Everybody else, thank you so much.
Dean Wilson, he is still your points leader with just 2 rounds left to go.
And here's your overall. Because Wilson's engine did get him to the finish line, you'll see here he didn't lose many points in the day to Rattray, only 5. And nice job, Swanepoel on the podium for the DNA Shred Stick Star Racing Yamaha team. Alex Martin, a great run as well. Let's go back down to the podium.
It happens to mark the first podium ever for Alex Martin. How does this moment rank? How does it feel?
Oh, this definitely ranks up at the top. I mean, pulled the whole shot and just ran away with it for a little bit, and the nerves came up on me, and Rattray got around me, and then Dean Wilson got around me, and I just tried to stay with those 2 guys. And I mean, I've shown flashes of brilliance in the past, but I think I definitely surprised a lot of people today, and definitely thankful to just finally show my potential.
Congratulations on a strong performance and making your way back up here again. Gareth, take us through your day, and what does it mean to overcome everything that you have to be up here on the podium?
Oh, it's just amazing. You know, I've had a tough couple last 2 years, and you know, it's just amazing today. That first moto win was just unreal, and unfortunately the second moto I had a small crash, but I still managed to get on the podium. So third overall, I'm really happy. Just like to say thanks to DNA, Shred Stick Yamaha, Scott, Infab, FMF, Enzo, Cosworth, and also just shout out to my friend Christophe over in Germany. If it wasn't for him, I wouldn't have actually come and raced over in the States. So thanks a lot.
All right, let's show you the series point standings here. Like we said, Wilson limited the damage, so he has a good lead over Rattray and Baggett, who've had a rough go of it the last couple of rounds. Kyle Cunningham holds on to 4th in points over Tomac. And Martin's up in the top 10 now. All right, Jeff. I don't think we expected Southwood to be quite this wild, even though it usually is crazy.
Drama all the way. I mean, just a fantastic. You've seen if you just stay in and you keep trying, what can happen. We've seen some incredible rides today.
Right. So congratulations to our 450 winner, Brett Metcalfe, our 250 winner, Tyler Rattray. And thanks to you for watching. For Aaron Bates and Jeff Femick, I'm Jason Wygant. We'll see you next week.